Today, from Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, season titles are on the line, as well as the first ever Motorsports Championship for being green. After 9 intense rounds of competition, the final round is here and championships are still on the line. Welcome to Speed's coverage of round 10 of the 2009 American Le Mans Series, the Monterey Sports Car Championships from Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. Hello everyone, I'm Brian Till, along with Dorsey Schrader, Jamie Howe, and Justin Bell, and welcome to the Acura pre-race show. Today, David Brabham will try to win his first American Professional Championship. Unbelievably, Brabham, the only man to win races in all 4 American Le Mans Series classes, has never claimed a series championship. 2 weeks ago, this devastating crash by his teammate Scott Sharp almost ended their title hopes. But the Highcroft team heroically reconstructed the Patron Acura just in time to take the green flag and set up today's title run.
Well, quite rightly here with David Brabham. David, theoretically, you go into this race with the best chance of clinching the championship over the 66, but the reality is it's a long, hard race ahead.
It is definitely. I mean, this place is always really tricky because the tire temperatures, to get them up and running is really difficult around here. And, you know, it's okay now, but as the race goes on, it's going to get more and more difficult. So, you know, we just got one goal, and that's to win the race, because the championship will sort itself out after that. But, you know, the Patron Highcroft Racing guys have done a phenomenal job. You know, racing against Gilles and Simon and the DeFerrin guys has been an amazing year. And I want to wish Gilles all the best at his retirement as well. We're going to miss him.
Gilles DeFerrin hopes to spoil the Highcroft title run as the Brazilian star sees the final checkered flag today on his illustrious driving career.
The last step in the ladder of Gilles DeFerrin's illustrious career is completing the race today, and he has already started this weekend off in style with the pole position. Gilles, taking the green flag today in your final race as a driver, what does that mean to you and the team?
It means a lot, you know. I mean, it was a fun day yesterday. Obviously, this will be my last qualifying session. But to be honest, we got to keep our eye on the ball here. So we still got a race to run. And, you know, yesterday was nice, but, you know, we got 4 hours of racing here to take care of.
How difficult is it to stay focused with the emotion of the weekend?
It's very difficult, you know. I love the sport. I've loved every minute of my life so far, being behind the wheel and also running the team. So there's a lot of thoughts and emotions going through my head. But, you know, like I said, I got to keep my eye on the ball here and try to do a good job.
We look forward to the good things to come, but we hope to see you at the checkers today. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you.
In GT2, Jörg Bergmeister and Patrick Long won a second championship as Flying Lizard teammates. They claimed 5 straight early season wins, but have not seen the podium since July.
Patrick, although you have a great shot at winning this championship, you just can't lull and rest at the back, can you?
No, I think that's too risky. To try to stay out of a lead race like we have here in GT2 would, first of all, not be fun, but I don't think it would be smart either. Besides that, we've got a challenge class and a prototype class that are absolutely going mental out there. So we have to do our job, be consistent, and not make any mistakes. And that's really what's got us to the points lead that we have. So we just have to keep doing what we're doing.
And this track in a Porsche 911 is really well suited for it. And this car, the Porsche have a lot of success here. Is that coming into play as well? You've got a lot of experience.
Yeah, certainly our pace has been good. I think the 87 Fahnbacher car and ourselves in the 45 have shown well. We've led a lot of the practice sessions this week, so we're very confident that the minimal straights and a lot of switchbacks, a lot of slow-natured corners is really an advantage for the 911. Some of the other manufacturers have a little bit of a horsepower strong suit. For us, it's about handling, so we're really confident.
Great stuff. And with a little bit more on the P2 story is Jamie.
The biggest story in LMP2 qualifying was the distance between the P1 and the P2 cars. It was Luis Diaz who posted that fastest time, only 1/10 of a second off of the overall pole position. But Adrian Fernandez, and what could be the final race for Los Fernandez Racing in the American Le Mans Series, what is the strategy for today's race? You've already clinched that championship.
Absolutely, Luis is a fantastic job, like he's done the 3 years he's been with us, and it's an emotional day for us. Obviously, we're still fighting hard to stay in, but it's an emotional day because you know, this is, for now, it's our last race. but we would love to win it overall. And I think the Lowe's car is in good shape, especially with these cold conditions. I think we're looking good.
Good luck. Congratulations.
Heard Adrian Fernandez talk about his emotional day for us. It's an emotional day for Gilles de Ferran. His last professional motorsports event. Drama and emotion from pit lane, and it will play out through 4 hours of competition here today from one of the most challenging racetracks in North America, Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. Fitting that it should all come down to this. We'll be back to California. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series pre-race show is brought to you by Acura. Acura Advance. Look down at the beautiful scenery here, and you want horsepower, you come to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. There's some horsepower for you. A couple of F-16s from the California Air National Guard. A view from our helicopter. I don't know if I'd be a little nervous sitting up there. Speaking of nervous, Dorsey, we talked to the drivers. We talked about emotion and drama. You've won professional racing championships before. What's going through their minds? What kind of race do we expect to see today?
Well, for the teams and the point leaders and the drivers in these point-leading cars, they're going to run conservative up to the 70% mark where they're guaranteed to get the points they need to clinch the championships. Everyone outside that envelope has nothing to lose, Brian. They're going for broke, and they're going to do whatever it takes.
Well, you talk about championships on the line and going to 70%. What about that car, the 15, with Adrian Fernandez and Luis Diaz in it? They've already clinched their championship.
Luis Diaz tried so hard for the pole. He ended up a little short. How short? 92 1/1000ths of a second. And you just heard Adrian Fernandez say they're going for the overall win.
And if they get it, it will tie the track or tie the series record for the number of wins in a series. They're going to do it on one of the most difficult racetracks around. Let's take a look, our Acura track map.
Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca is one of the world's best-known racetracks. 2.238 miles long, 11 corners. Now, you always have congestion in the brake area into turn 2. There's a gravel trap there to get stuck in. Also, in turn 5 and turn 6. There's no better way to show you this racetrack and its elevation than to ride alongside of the pole sitter, Gilles de Ferran, on his lap from yesterday. This is a straightaway pass, start, finish as you climb the hill, waiting for the brake zone into turn 2. Hard braking down several gears. Accelerate now as you approach turn 3. These are building speed corners. Off 3, you're faster yet. Up through the gears, headed for turn 4. Just a lift. Now hard acceleration as you start to climb toward the hill. This is turn 5. Up under the bridge, totally blind. You can't see turn 6. It's just past this bridge. And now it's up the side of the mountain, full acceleration into a braking zone that you cannot see. Now, fall off the cliff. This is the corkscrew. And you're headed to turn 9, one of the scariest corners around here. Turn 10 up ahead, just a lift. Now look at the smoke off the left front fender. Chassis bottom. And up ahead, the hairpin that brings you back to pit straightaway. Hard acceleration here, start finish up ahead. We're about to complete a lap of Laguna Seca.
Awesome stuff. Gilles de Ferran may be retiring, but it's not because he doesn't have the pace. That is for certain. We'll take a look at the grid and the speed strip and take a chance to introduce you to our 4-class pole sitters.
My name is Gilles de Ferran. I'm originally from São Paulo, Brazil, and I currently live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Hi, I'm Simon Pagenaud. I live in Montmorillon, France.
Luis Diaz, Mexico City, Mexico.
Hi, I'm Adrian Fernandez from Mexico City.
Hi, I'm Jan Magnusson, and I'm from Roskilde, Denmark.
Hi, I'm Johnny O'Connell with Corvette Racing from Flowery Branch, Georgia.
I'm Guy Cosmo, and I'm from West Palm Beach, Florida.
My name's John Baker, and I'm from New York City, New York.
There's a look at your pole sitters. Now, in the top of the show, we had a chance to talk storylines in P2. GT2, and the P1 class. But what about the ALMS Challenge class? For more on that, we'll head down to the pit and Jamie Howe.
Well, thanks, Brian. That class has always been capped at 8 entries, and for the first time this season, all 8 of those entries are filled with the challenge cars. But what that means on a tight circuit like Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca is that they don't have a whole lot of room for error, and there's not a whole lot of room for them to be passed. So all of the drivers amongst the other 3 classes are going to have to be extremely careful in making those bold moves around them, but the challenge drivers are going to have to be careful in staying out of the way and make it to the checkered flag as well.
Thanks, Jamie. Great aerial shots, and the shot of the 33, the Jaguar of Paul Gentilozzi, Mark Goossens. They will start from pit lane, very much a development progress or program, I should say, Dorsey, going on with that Jag right now. As the rest of the field lines up, we'll talk about Gentilozzi and that beautiful Jaguar XKR a little bit later in the show, but right now it's all Acura P1 on the front row, and the championship is right there in the P1 category, starting up front.
Like I said, look for Simon Pagenaud in the 66 to get a big jump. Green flag's out.
And he's already jumped right now. Pagenaud out to the lead. He'll race it down into turn 2, but you heard David Brabham say tires are going to be an issue. Trying to get temperature, you already saw smoke off the tires of, I believe, the 37, the field entry, as they headed down into turn 2. Up to 4th already, looks to the inside of the 20, and we know from this season of racing and those that came before, John Field not afraid to go and go very quickly.
Signature John Field. He gets all he can get at the start right now, but I'll tell you, that's about where he stalls out. Right about there is all he's going to get. Now the tires are going to start building some temperatures, building some pressures, and you'll start to see who the players are. Right now, Simon Pagenaud's checking out. I figured he'd do that.
Look at Field, picks off another, and one of the things that he says about this car is that the tires do come up to temperature very quickly, but then they only last for about 5 laps, so they seem to go off quickly as well. Already pressuring number 9. You saw that little bit of lockup as the left front tire gets light going into the corkscrew.
Yeah, it gets light. The chassis is not square right there, and you see it locked up. Now, did he get a flat spot? That's the problem. John pushes so hard so early. He's prone to get in a flat spot when these tires not up to temperature yet.
Very cool conditions right now here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, as Simon Pagenaud will lead the first lap. Remember, this car, this team, Gilles de Ferran, Simon Pagenaud, they need to finish up front. Quite frankly, they need a little bit of bad luck to befall the number 9 Patron Highcroft team. 2.5-second lead at the end of the first lap.
Yeah, he pulled a 2.5-second lead over David Brabham, but Brabham, remember this again, is Brabham's to run in for the 70% rule. Now, he won't let that car get a lap up on him. He wants to keep him inside, but he doesn't need to contest it right now. Once he gets to 70% of the distance, which is a moving target we'll talk about later, he's clinched his championship.
But you heard Patrick Long say as well, as you ride on board with David Brabham, you heard Patrick Long somewhat in the same position saying, we can't just lie back, because as a race car driver, when you take yourself off of the pace, you really almost introduce more threat, I think.
Well, you do. You lose your rhythm around the racetrack. You don't turn into the same area anymore because you're going slower, and you're prone to making more mistakes when you're not on top of your game. So you don't want to fall into that category.
Well, we talk about the battle for the championship in P1. There's also one that's raging in the GT2 category as well, as David Brabham flashes by. John Field still holding on. That GT2 championship, remember, it's the Flying Lizard of 45 of Patrick Long and Jörg Bergmeister who want to win the championship. But so far this weekend, Dorsey, the Corvettes have been so incredibly strong.
I'd say, Brian, the qualifying for GT2 was one of the more enjoyable sessions I've seen in a long time. As Jan Magnussen did, in fact, get the pole for Corvette, and you can tell that Doug Feehan told these guys, last race of the year, let's get these Corvettes 1-2. Let's leave this season with a memory that people won't forget. And it's really, these guys have worked really hard, but that qualifying wasn't all Corvette. Everybody was up there. The Ferrari was up there. Porsche was up there. I mean, that was a great session.
And Pierre Caffer in the number 62, the Risi Ferrari, as you see him flash by, and you also see the 16, the Dyson Racing entry. Pierre Caffer got to qualify the 62 the first time this year. Should mention the 16 as he flashes by, the Dyson Racing entry of Chris Dyson and Guy Smith. Also, Ben is in the car with him this weekend, and he's going to help pilot that 16 car around, but it is unclassified. Usually an LMP2 entry running that biobutanol fuel makes it unclassified.
It's a car that's developing this new fuel, and it's developing a game plan for next year, for 2010. Because right now the car's not being timed or scored. It started at dead last, so of course you can see the potential is there for the car. But they're going to run through the race. We won't see it on time in the scoring, and it won't be affecting anybody's outcome.
There's the 45, your championship leading car. Jörg Bergmeister behind the wheel. You see the 62, then the 87, and already a problem. That's the 88.
It's the wrong car. That's Paul Drayson in Graf.
Scared me for a moment. I saw the green and the darker colors, and I thought, was that David Brabham? It is not. It is Paul Drayson in the number 88, that beautiful Lola.
Klaus Graf, of course, in the Porsche. We expected a lot out of him this weekend, but it looks like the two have had it coming together. That's turn 6. We'll have a look at what happened to them.
Moved the tire wall considerably.
Big hit. Watch this. It's Graf underneath, and they made contact, no question about it. And look at this.
Oh, that's a big hit by Paul Drayson on the outside of Graf going through turn 9, the downhill left-hander. And not a lot of contact for Graf, but obviously the big hit for Paul Drayson. Remember how strong this team ran at Petit Le Mans. Klaus Graf worked his way up with the leaders, passing both Peugeots in the rain. The car is so good, but then had that problem with water in the fuel.
For Klaus, he didn't have a very good qualifying effort, and it started him pretty well back. And that's what happens to you when you have a fast car and you don't get it right qualifying. You have to go through the cars. Unfortunately, and I had that wrong. I thought that was in turn 6. That's turn 9. Now, that's downhill off camber. You don't need any help from buddy's nose in your door to get you off the racetrack there.
Well, interesting, a big hit. Now the 88 came back. Rob Bell had a problem at Petit Le Mans when they lost a wheel and had a big hit, able to put that car back together. Remember, this is a 4-hour event here in the final round, the Monterey Sports Car Championship. So Paul Drayson, Johnny Cocker, could they be back in it? We'll have to wait and see. Simon Pagenaud right now controls the field. Butch Leitzer leads at P2. We got great battles all throughout. And remember, championships still on the line from Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine, and by Michelin, a better way forward. Look at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. You know, we talked about Gilles de Ferran and his storied driving career. Well, he certainly has had one. Indy 500 winner, 2 IndyCar championships. One of his biggest influences, Jim Hall, and the legendary 66 that Hall was known for. Jim Hall here this weekend with 2 of his beautiful chaparrals. And the great thing was, it wasn't just a static display. You saw that beautiful white paint scheme in honor of Jim Hall and all that he had done for Gilles de Ferran. Well, they took those 2 chaparrals out on the track. Jim Hall in the 66, the wing, I believe that was the 2E. And Gilles de Ferran in the 66. You also saw Simon Pagenaud there in the Acura right now behind the pace car. Pace car, a little bit of a problem.
I haven't seen that in quite a while.
Talk about the challenges of Laguna Seca. The pace car having a bit of an issue right now as
Brian,
well.
I'll tell you, the 66, when they took the chaparral out there, the crowd went crazy. It was unbelievable.
Well, while we were away, a problem, small problem.
That's not a small problem.
That's out the header pipes. That's the 90 losing an internal combustion engine.
Very good. And there will be no mosquitoes here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca after that. So a problem, and that's disheartening. That BMW Rahal Letterman team has run well. Remember, they've had a victory this year. They've had some poles and run strong. Consistency has really been the Achilles heel for that team so far this year. They've certainly showed the speed, but you expect to see more from them. There's the BMW Skycam, and hopefully they don't have the same problem that the 90 did.
They will claim that to be an electrical failure, of course, but we know better.
Right now, Simon Pagenaud in the 66 behind the pace car. Let's head down to pit road. That problem between the 88 and the 6. Jamie, what do you have?
Well, the 6 car did make its way back to pit lane. They had to replace several of the front pieces. Now, the front end of these cars are in 2 different body pieces, and they had to replace both of those. But they also had some damage when they got that flat tire from the incident. There was some body damage to the side pod that the front end clips onto, and they had to tape the front end onto the car just in case. So keep your eye out for some flying Porsche pieces out there. But they were looking to get Porsche their 100th win today and certainly be a part of the end of this race as well, but they're going to have to make it there first.
Those would be expensive flying Porsche parts. And you talk about the expense of motorsports. Part of that expense is getting the cars to the racetrack. And the thing that was so great to see about those chaparrals is FedEx Auto Transport brought those cars here for Jim Hall, and it was great to see him here. And so thanks to FedEx for getting not only your parcels there on time, but also your race cars as well. We're going to go back to green here at round 10. from Laguna Seca, and it is Simon Pagenaud, where we have seen him so many times before this year. But look at John Field one more time on a restart. Fires up that AER, those twin turbos, and runs straight to the front. Is he going to lead a lap here?
He's going to try to, for sure. We've talked about John's horsepower. Watch here as they go through turn 3. Fastest corner on the course. Next one, turn 4. And John should have the legs.
This is the 100th race start for Intersport. John Field, great to see them out there. But remember the problem from 66, from Petit Le Mans, when John Field got into the back of Gilles Defer in the 100th race for Intersport Racing. Some of the things that they've done. So not so much bad blood they've apologized and taken care of. But right now, the 37 on the 66, I think John Field might be a little bit careful there. And look at Pagenaud saying, no, I don't want to let you by right now. I need to be out in front.
But for John Field, he just needs to play it cool. If he can stay this close to the back of the 66, when they come on that front straightaway out of the hairpin, look out. All bets off, because that little AER engine is going to be really fast.
But this is where the downforce of that Acura really pays big dividends. You see him pull through those high downforce corners of turns 8, 9, and 10 and onto the front straightaway. We'll see if he's close enough.
I think a big part of this story is those special front tires on the Acura, which give them such amazing corner potential when they are warming up to pressure. Right now, the track temperature is only 74 degrees, which is, well, we've seen it up to 110, haven't we, guys? So, definitely the field car has a tremendous advantage in these opening laps. Once the tire temperatures get up, once the pressures get up, I think you'll start to see the rightful order resumed.
Well, and that's a good point. David Brabham talked about it at the beginning. As cool as it is, it takes a while to get tire temperatures. Now the 20 on pit road.
Rich Leisinger gets onto pit road. You can hear it leaving pit road right now. They're not exactly sure what happened. They said it went into the limp home mode, but they believe they have it all sorted. They're going to send it back out there and do a couple of laps just to make sure.
Of course, this is the car that is being scored, and the limp home mode that Jamie was talking about is a protector that the electronic engine management system has in it. If something goes wrong, it protects itself so you can get it back to the pit so it doesn't blow up like we saw the BMW do just a little while ago.
And this is the car that has also run so strong. 3 pole positions in a row coming into this race. Road America, Mosport, Road Atlanta. They won Petit Le Mans from the pole, so that was special. It was Butch Leitzinger and Marino Franchitti and Ben Devlin. Ben, whose name I locked up on earlier in the show. For some reason, I couldn't get Devlin out, but Ben Devlin a part of that victory as well. And they've really come to grips with this Lola Coupe, and it seems to be getting stronger and stronger as we've gone.
Well, I talked to Marino Franchitti, and he goes, when we come to a racetrack, we unload it. This car is always good. It just gets on the racetrack. Now, they have more problems with the engine management and some things in that car, but it handles well, and the guys that drive it love the way it goes. They just have these little niggling problems, as we just saw a moment ago when they had to bring it into the pit lane on schedule.
And Marino had said in all the conditions at Petit, it ran really well. They had an electrical problem and got stuck in gear. But Butch Leitzinger back underway. Will move back to the ALMS Challenge class right now. Number 38 out in front, Shane Lewis. Certainly a very well-known, well-respected road racer running in the Challenge class right now with his co-driver, Jerry Vento. And Lewis holding down the point, and another very talented driver took the pole in that class, Guy Cosmo. You have a professional driver and a gentleman driver in the ALMS Challenge class. One of the things that makes it so neat.
Yeah, and of course Shane is a very well-known race car driver, professional driver, so he's sharing duties. He started that car, and his co-driver will have to go in and do the center part of this race. A 4-hour race, Brian, a long time to go.
You also saw the 17. That is one of the GT2 cars. That is the Falcon Tire entry. Brian Sellers behind the wheel right now. Remember, that is a developmental program this year for a full season in 2010. They're still struggling with that 17 and the tires, trying to get that sorted out. They actually made an 11-hour trip to get another set of tires for the 17 so that they could get back out here and hopefully have a better package for the race. You see Sellers moving his way back to the front. Perhaps that other set of tires working a bit better.
That's the other thing when you come down to the end of a year, Brian, if you're not in the championship, you can use these last couple, 3 races to develop your car going into the next season, particularly if you're developing, like on the 17's case, a tire, a brand new tire. Now, it's not easy to come in here and just come up against a guy like Michelin or come against any of these people who have been racing so long, Yokohama in this case. It's going to take these developmental cars a year or two to even get close, I think.
Right now, Shane Lewis trying to hold down the point there in the ALMS Challenge class. Galen Beaker right behind him, and already you see some of the prototypes coming through. We had seen the problem for the 20 car earlier on, so he's working through that battle. But that is what makes this racing so great in the American Le Mans Series. Remember, 4 different classes of cars out on the racetrack at the same time. Very big speed differentials, and that while the challenge class guys are having a good run of it, they're going to have to deal with the prototypes both in P2 and P1. That battle continues, but overall right now it's Simon Pagenaud who continues to hold down the point. That beautiful new all-white livery of the DeFerrin Acura. We'll be back to the Monterey Sports Car Championships from Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, right after this.
You're watching the American Le Mans Series on Speed.
Simon Pagenaud continues to lead from the Monterey Sports Car Championships in that beautiful all-white Acura. You see him right there at the bottom of your screen. He's just flashed by. The battle for the GT2 lead. The Corvette's out in front right now. Jan Magnussen in the first of those beautiful yellow Corvette C6Rs, followed by the 4 of Ollie Gavin, and then Pierre Caffer there in the red Ferrari.
Caffer running for the championship. He's going to try to get this win. The 2 Corvettes right in front of the Ferrari, as you can see. But that's first, second, third GT2, and they were just put a lap down, as you saw Simon Pagenaud whistle right by through them.
Corvette, Ferrari, and then the first Porsche of Wolf Hensler for Farnbacher Lowell's Racing, trying to hold on to 4th, just coming into your photo or into your picture right there. And for Caffer, he must finish in front of at least one of the Corvettes. They've got to have a second place or better finish at the end of 4 hours. And if they finish second, the 45 needs to finish worse than 10th. Anything other than that, they will not be able to hold on to this championship. And they look back to St. Pete when they had that suspension problem. They had the AR pull out of the tub, and they didn't score points at St. Pete, and the team looks back at that and says, oh, if we could just have that one back, because really, that's what took them out of the championship, Dorsey.
Right now, it's a tough scenario because neither of the Corvettes are in the championship hunt whatsoever, so they're going to finish the season, if they can, with wins. For Caffer, he needs to win as well because he is in the championship hunt. So all 3 of these guys really are going to throw it on the line, do anything they have to do. Now, let's talk about one thing. This racetrack, we haven't mentioned it yet, but this racetrack's known for one thing. It does not have any mechanical grip around the infield here. When you see these prototype cars come whistling by, they have downforce, they have wings. These prototype cars have a huge advantage compared to these GT cars that are skating around here today.
Caffer qualified the 62 car, the first time he's done it all year long, and did a great job of qualifying off in turn 10 at one point in time, really trying to wring the neck of this Ferrari, and they feel like they're at a disadvantage a little bit. They don't have the horsepower that some of the other cars have, and remember, this very narrow Ferrari, while it may get down the straightaways pretty well, because it doesn't have a lot of aerodynamic drag, runs on very small tires. So at a place like this, without that mechanical grip, Dorsey, you don't have the handling that you need. And as we look back, there is a gaggle of cars working their way through turn 11, closing in on this battle for GT2. That's the overall battle for second place that's coming up on these guys.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of them in the middle of that is the third place car overall. We talk about prototypes. There's David Brabham in the Patron car. Now watch the difficulty of trying to make a pass here.
John Field past Brabham. He is the dark car leading through turn 3, but look at that. It's the 48, the blue and black car right there behind David Brabham. That is the hybrid entry. Remember, of course, Motorsports having a great run here this weekend. They've run strong. They did lose the electric hybrid motor this morning, had to put a new one in. But right now, Johnny Mollum having a good run in 4th, and his lap times are right there with the 2 guys he's battling with. Of course, you would expect that because they're hung in traffic right now.
Well, they are, and I talked about how hard it is to pass. You don't want to get offline here. But again, these prototype cars have downforce, aerodynamic downforce that the GT cars do not have.
Brian, you mentioned that they had to replace the hybrid motor this morning. That job normally would take 4 hours, and the crew had to do it in 2 today. They believe they got it all sorted out. Steve Pruitt, Team Owner, said that his guys did a fantastic job getting the car even to the grid to make the race today. But of course, we talked about it. They're still doing a ton of development on this hybrid package and hoping to run it full season next year.
Well, they're getting better at it because they're doing it quite often. That's one of the problems we're having, is that they're spinning that motor, that electric motor, too many RPMs, and it's destroying it as they try to find a cure for that problem.
And Johnny Mollum is on full attack mode. They just worked their way through that gaggle of cars, and Mollum very willing to put it just about anywhere on the racetrack, now working their way past the 62. Remember, Capper running third in GT2 right now. He didn't want to get tangled up with these guys, but quite honestly, he's probably hoping that the yellow car is in front too.
This whole infield is so lack of grip, and the reason for it, a lot of it, is because the sand around here gets run up on the racetrack. But it's just a flat racetrack too.
You talk about the mechanical grip of one of these Corvettes. They just ran with David Brabham through the corner. I believe that was Magnussen, side by side through the corner. And these Corvettes, the drivers say this car has more mechanical grip than the GT1 car. It was actually Gavin that he worked his way past, but that says a lot to have a GT2 car with a smaller tire have better mechanical grip than its larger brother, the GT1 Corvette.
Well, it should have great mechanical grip. It's four-wheel independent suspension. It's got a good balance front to rear. It's got darn good aero. It's got a wonderful traction control system too.
Right now, David Brabham on the attack. But how much of an attack is he going to mount on John Field? Once again, the 70% race is what he's looking for right now, I would think.
Yeah, David right now is definitely just right. He's cruising. He's running off laps, waiting for that 70%. As long as he stays on the lead lap, he does nothing to worry about whatsoever. Remember, we're going to do probably 4 pit stops or 5 before this race is over, so a lot left to play out.
But for Steve Pruitt and the guys, they have to be thrilled. Look at Johnny Mollum keeping pace with the Acura that's in front of him. I would think that, as you said, David, content to ride right now, but right in front of him, John Field. Maybe he'll let John pick his way through the traffic and find a little safer gap to follow him through. But Johnny Mollum all over the back right now, and you've got 3 P1 cars running in lockstep. Great to see John Field in that 100 start for Intersport having such a good run today.
Look right here, David Brabham just backed away from John Field. The reason for it, he wants to get a run at him to try to make a way to get by. You know, being tucked up underneath behind him is not going to work when the car in front of you's got more horsepower and more straight line speed.
You can see the differential in the braking as the prototype cars close in on the challenge cars. Down through the corkscrew, through turn 9. And, you know, for a challenge driver, he has nothing to do there, Dorsey. He's committed. He's got to turn.
He has a harder job than the guys passing him from this standpoint. He has less grip than anybody out there. He doesn't have anything to fall back on, no aerodynamics, no anything. And here comes the Brab. David Brabham's getting a run, but watch the horsepower now. John Field should shoot right up through the middle.
I think John Field got balked a little bit there at the apex of 9 by the challenge car. Brabham sneaks by. What about Mollum? He looks to the outside. That's not going to happen. Field with good speed down into the braking zone and some good brakes down at the end as well. John was telling me that there's some updates coming in the offseason for this Lola chassis. He said he and Clint love to drive this car. They're working their way past Gentilosi's number 33, the new Jag right now. But they're also one of the teams looking to buy the new ALMS LMP Challenge car and run it in 2010 for customers. They said, hey, we want to start our own ladder series per se. We'd like to run a couple of IMSA light cars, maybe as many as 4 of them, run the prototype challenge car as well as running the P1 car. So big things in store for Intersport Racing, and now you run on board the 16. Remember, this is the unclassified Dyson Racing entry running that biobutanol fuel.
And one thing when you see that when you ride around with these cars is that this racetrack, although it's very fast, doesn't really have that many straightaways. The long straightaway, the fastest is pit straightaway, and that is not long by any means nowadays.
Closing up on the back end of this battle, that looks like Mollum right there in front. It is.
And look, the 15 right in the middle of this too, at the back end of it.
Mollum looks to the inside of field. That's going to be hard to do, but yeah, you talk about the 15. He is in there as well. Luis Diaz behind the wheel. Should mention this biobutanol could very well be the fuel of the future. It gets great gas mileage, produces even more power, they say, and it could be something that we see at our fuel stations, not in the too far distant future.
I think we just saw something very interesting then. Dorsey, I'll take issue with you a little bit about saying that David was on cruise. I think what happened is that they probably had a fuel mat setting that was saving fuel, so he was driving as hard as he could within that window, because he certainly didn't look like he was taking it easy in all that traffic. But then I think Duncan probably got on the phone and said, David, this is just way too dangerous, crank it back up. And so he just pulled out, what, 2 seconds on 1 lap. You just don't want to be there, do you, Dorsey, in all that rubbish?
That's a very good point, Justin. You know, I forgot totally about the maps on this. They could have been doing a fuel mileage strategy, which makes sense. This is a 4-hour race. Normally they don't run this long. And those fuel maps are huge cuts in horsepower. So, and you're right. You don't want to be in the thick of things with the cars that are not usually in the front.
Well, I mean, take a look at this. You talk about being in the thick of things. There's Johnny Mollem. He'd been having a good run. Slides a little wide at the exit of turn 5. Drops a wheel. He could have easily hooked back across. You saw the 15 almost getting to the side of him. This is on board with Chris Dyson.
And you see what happened as soon as he hit the rumble strips. He lost complete grip at the back, and the car just skated away. It was a good save, actually.
And that is a good call. Perhaps David Brabham, Duncan Dayton, and the rest of the Highcroft boys said, look, let's get out of the middle of this. Let's find an empty place to run on the racetrack. We'll let everybody else have a good battle. And there are plenty of them around the racetrack. Great to see the 48 team, Johnny Mollem, Corsa Motorsports team, running up front right now. There's still championships on the line, still a lot of decisions by those guys. The crew members left to be made, and the pit stops, plenty of those to come as well. When you dream, do you dream in speed? Introducing the Speed Dream Ride. You'll see new shows, old favorites have the chance to win a VIP experience at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, where winners will ride the vehicles of their dreams. Speed Dream Ride's coming soon, presented by Castrol Edge. Find out more at speeddreamride.com. On board, that is the 92 BMW, looking out the back, and one of the Flying Lizard Porsches right behind it, putting the pressure on the 44, Johannes van Overbeek, behind the wheel right now. And look at this battle. You see the number 40, the Ford GT right there in front. David Murray behind the wheel. What a great run they had at Petit Le Mans. One of the best battles on the racetrack right now. Simon Pagenaud continues to lead overall, but Murray holding off that very potent BMW right behind him, and Johannes van Overbeek, no slouch behind the wheel of the 44 Flying Lizard Porsche.
No, Tommy Milner in the BMW is doing everything he can to try to get up on David Murray, but watch David Murray drive. He slows up the entrance to the corner, which he needs to, squares off, and uses that forward horsepower to distance BMW. Watch it go away here. See, he just pulls him, but David's driving. Watch, he'll slow earlier than the BMW to get his corner done right. BMW will close. He'll get to the power earlier, and watch, up the hill he goes.
Good squirt off the corner. Remember, they made some changes to that car. They lowered the wing. Per the rules, they let them lower the wing. And when they did that, they got to go up one restrictor size. So that added a little bit of horsepower to it. It took away some of the rear downforce.
Yeah, and this right now he's using the horsepower. He's not trying to use downforce in the corner. He's slowing up more than BMW. You see it there. But he gets his car straighter and gets to the throttle pedal, and he uses that straight line speed.
Obviously, the car working okay through the corners. Remember, both of these cars running on Dunlop tires right now, so very even tires that are on them, although you got to think that the BMW team probably has a little better connection with Dunlop than the 40 does, because that is a factory type program. And Johannes van Overbeek on Michelin's in that Flying Lizard Porsche. And at the back of the shot there, not only do you see David Brabham in the P1 car, you saw the 33 of Paul Gentilozzi, a new entry. Remember, they ran just a couple of laps at Petit Le Mans and came to run here, and they admitted, look, we haven't tested this car a lot. There he is right there. We haven't tested this car a lot. This is a test for us. We've had one test in it, and there's no better place to test it than on the racetrack. And I got to give Paul credit to bring an untried and untested car to the track and run it in front of everybody, knowing that the performance may not be there. Good for him.
Well, it's Mark Goosens behind the wheel. We know, we watched Goose. We love it when we say the Goose is loose. He can drive a race car, no question about that. This car, developmental, like you said, it's nowhere near up to the speed of these cars that's around. But how do you learn? You can't get the information going to some test track by yourself that you get doing one of these races like this. And this is a 4-hour test.
5-liter, 90-degree V8. They say 480 horsepower, but I'm gonna guess it's probably gonna produce a little bit more than that as they head up the hill towards the corkscrew. Right there you saw the 37, John Field flash by. Chris Dyson in the 16. Remember, unclassified, this is from the BMW aerial cam. Beautiful shot there, and that is one of the great things about this racetrack. It's so challenging, Dorsey, not only because of the twists and turns, but the elevations. 3-story drop off the corkscrew.
You can't describe it. Our cameras can't show it. You have to have done it. I mean, if you go too fast off the side of that cliff, you know what happens? You crash.
You fly for a moment, and then
the car comes off the ground. Then when it hits the ground, it hits quite hard, and you destroy it. It's a timing thing, but it's one of the most fun. And it's definitely that part of the racetrack is probably the most photogenic piece of racing real estate in the world.
And you talk about crashing down hard with the big compressions in this racetrack. One of them's in turn 9, one of them's in turn 10. even coming off of the corkscrew, one of the challenges is setting the car up, the ride height. It needs to be a stiffer car, but with no mechanical grip on this racetrack. You want a softer car. From an engineering standpoint, how do you find the right balance?
Well, there's your problem exactly, because this infield you'd love to run as soft as you can to try to get grip, but you have those two high load corners, so you're going to have to put enough spring underneath the car to hold it up, and then have very minimal, just have to control with the shocks the ability of the car to ride through such severe terrain.
Right now, back to the challenge class. James Sofronis leading overall. Sofronis, very familiar name to people who watch Speed World Challenge competition, runs in that, runs Porsches, owns a Porsche shop that adds some little speed tweaks to the Porsches, not like you would need them. Looking back at the battle for second and third as well. But Sofronis has certainly won races in World Challenge, knows how to get the job done. He's gone to the point he's gotten past Shane Lewis and Galen Beaker in the 38 and 69 cars respectively, beginning to pull away a little bit. As a matter of fact, you look at his last lap time, about 0.4 of a second quicker than Shane Lewis, the nearest challenge car behind him. And it could very well be traffic. Don't forget, they're not only working through it and battling on their own, they've got to let these guys through as you watch the Dyson entry flashing through this battle. And look at the speed differential.
Well, if you're in a Challenge or a GT car, you don't heed way to these prototype cars. You hold your line, because they can go anywhere they want. They can pass you on the outside if they want to. They can go to the inside. But if you try to go to the outside to leave them the inside, what happens? You get in the dirty stuff and you crash your race car. I mean, it's a difference between having that much grip and not having that much grip.
You'll very often hear the prototype drivers in the drivers' meeting say, "Don't do me a favor."
Right, don't do me a favor. Don't move over for me, because I'm planning on passing you either way.
Yeah.
Just drive the line like you own the track, and I'll get around you either way, because I got a lot more car.
And the closing speed is so great. The prototype driver's already made his decision several car lengths before he ever gets to you. So he's committed. Right now, you see the 12 flashing by as well. Chris McMurray behind the wheel. And McMurray, a very talented driver. I talked to him a little bit earlier today, and we talked about championships and race wins. And he said, look, you got to understand something. I mean, yeah, I like to run, and we run fast. And this is a small team, and we don't have the most modern equipment. I have to be realistic. This is not what I do for a living. This is what I do for fun. And a problem
with one of the
challenge cars.
And we were talking about challenge cars while we look at this car to bring out a full course caution, because most certainly Ed Brown there, as you see him, is stuck in the kitty litter and have to get towed out of there. Remember, there's a pro driver and an amateur driver, or a sportsman driver. Ed Brown is a sportsman driver in this particular case. Most of these cars are running with the pro driver up front, which I think is because the start of the race is pretty hairy. If you're a new guy, pretty scary at the start of a race with all these prototypes and faster cars around you. So most of the good, real fast guys are in right now. Ed is stuck in the kitty litter, and he'll get pulled out, but this will probably bring out a caution, which hasn't happened yet.
Well, they had a second place finish, he and his co-driver at Lime Rock, so Ed certainly knows how to get the job done. But they had a great announcement earlier today. Scott Sharp, who drives the Patron Highcroft P1 Acura, had a great announcement today along with Ed Brown, talking about Scott Sharp forming his own team, following in his dad's footsteps, forming a team. They're going to run in GT2 next year with a Ferrari with Ed Brown and another driver yet to be named. So GT2, as if it wasn't competitive enough, is going to get another entry in 2010 and just add to the fray. You talk about the fray, look at the battle right here.
Cars in, Brian. The 66 cars, I just saw it turn on pit lane.
Indeed.
Overall leader.
Simon Pagenaud comes to pit road. That new paint scheme, so beautiful. Obviously the 66 in honor of Jim Hall and the relationship, and he just made it to pit lane, because pit lane just closed with that full course caution. So Simon Pagenaud slips under the wire and into pit lane, and a problem for the 20. We saw them on pit road earlier. Butch Leitzinger behind the wheel, sharing that car once again with Marino Franchitti and Ben Devlin, but they have problems. The 66, everything looks smooth down there, Justin.
Absolutely smooth. They were on the deck ready to go. They do have new tires standing by. They're going to put, they're doing the front right now, as you can see. And they did a smart move there, getting in just 4 pits closed. He came in the pit lane hot. I saw him sideways down the pit lane, even with the limiter on. So that must have been a quick one. Fuel's in, front tires on, rear tires on, and off they go. Beautiful stop. That was an example of great pit.
Pagenaud stays behind the wheel. And one of the things that should be noted, the admiration that Gilles de Ferran has for Jim Hall, it's the same thing that Simon Pagenaud has for Gilles de Ferran. You see him when he looks at DeFerrin when he speaks, and you can tell that he admires Gilles DeFerrin for everything that he's done in motorsports, his hard work. And Gilles, I think he really is a mentor to Simon Pagenaud. There are a lot of people up and down pit road that are mentors to others, drivers, crew members, you name it, even officials here in the American Le Mans Series. You see Pagenaud back on the track behind the pace car right there. What a good, talk about a call. They watched that problem for the 20 car, thought and gambled that it would go full course caution, brought Pagenaud to pit road. Pretty good stroke of genius to get him in there. Good strategy, I would say.
See Butch Leitzinger there out of the Dyson entry. The 20 is broken down. I suppose he wouldn't have gotten out if he could have done something about getting it. Obviously, a tailwind is not going to fix the problem of having the car towed back in. He wants to walk down there. Here's just motion. I'll walk down and back to the pits.
Walking down the hill's easy. You just don't want to have to walk up it.
Don't go up it.
One of the best places you can ever watch is from the corkscrew. There's a pretty good indication of the elevation change from the top of the corkscrew down to the infield. We were talking about people who are mentors, people in this series, drivers, officials, and all. What about Dick Martin? That man right there has been retiring after 19 years, been with his series for 19 years. He has been a fixture on pit lane, not only as an official, but is he genuinely a good guy. He's been around, he's made us smile, he's told us stories, but he's always been a professional. For Dick Martin, we're going to miss him. 2010 pit lane will seem a bit empty. Oh, did I mention clown as well? Dick Martin, thanks for the ride. Under full course caution for the second time today for the Monterey Sports Car Championships. This time it was Ed Brown that had the problem on track, but this has allowed cars to come to pit road, Justin.
A lot of cars all coming in at one time, and the Patron Highcroft team with David Brabham behind the wheel. Their fuel's going in right now, then the char change. Obviously everyone a little bit outfoxed by the DeFerrin maneuver, but right behind them is the Lowe's Fernandez car, all equally going for the same pit stop. Jamie?
Both Corvettes have been in pit lane, as well as the championship leading 45 car of Flying Lizard Motorsports. It was the number 4 car that was first off the pit road, but pit lane is extremely tight, and the guys are not hitting their marks as they're supposed to, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that as this important strategy for the race unfolds today.
Talk about competition. The Corvette guys always competing against each other on pit road. Interesting that the 4 got in and then got out ahead of the 3, because when we went to full course caution, it's the number 3 of Jan Magnussen who was leading.
You know, the other weird thing about the pit lane here at Laguna Seca is it's uphill. And if you're pitted further out toward pit out, you have to climb the hill. It's so easy to stall the car because you actually have to slip the clutch, and these clutches don't slip very well. So, I mean, if you're down on the back end on pit in, you have an easy way to go compared to the guys that pit out. They have that hill to climb.
Magnussen reportedly not too happy with their pit stop, so a bit frustrated. He'll see if he can get back to the front. See the second place challenge car, the number 38 on pit road, Shane Lewis behind the wheel. We talked about Shane earlier, having a good run of it. Jamie?
38 car, they're still changing the Yokohama tires on this machine. They're doing a little bit of a different strategy for the challenge class and for the other GT2 cars. They only have 1 gun allowed. They're going to the Le Mans rule, so their stops take a little bit longer. They do have a mandatory 4 tire change, which doesn't apply too much for this longer format of a race, but these Yokohama tires have been tremendous for these cars. A lot of the challenge drivers had the race this morning in the Patron GT3 challenge, so these cars already have a couple miles on them today, and it just adds volumes of credibility to the power of this Porsche being able to do 2 races in one day. And as you can see, they're still taking quite a while to get these cars out on track, but it's a good thing because it does keep them separated from the rest of the field and keeps the pack of the challenge cars together.
See Shane Lewis saying, drop me. The pace car just went by. He's back underway, and those rules are good because limits the number of people over the wall, which limits the number of crewmen, which saves you some money. Shane Lewis back on track. And we talk about saving things. One of the things that the American Le Mans Series is well behind is green racing, the global leader in green racing, and they want to make sure that they do their part. Amazingly enough, the government involved in this as well. We had a chance to visit with members of the EPA and the DOE a little bit earlier today and learn why they want to be involved with the American Le Mans Series.
Pat Davis coming into the American Le Mans Series. Why are government agencies so interested in this green challenge?
Well, we've been interested really for two motivating factors. The first is leveraging the innovation that takes place in racing. American Le Mans Series and racing as a whole has a great history of innovation, and if we can focus some of that talent on addressing the problems that we face today in petroleum dependency and emissions reductions, and get those technologies from the racetrack into the cars that we drive, that's our goal. And the second thing is we want to demonstrate to the public that these technologies are really ready and that they can meet the most exacting specifications of the racing community, and therefore the public shouldn't be hesitant about using them and choosing them in their own vehicles.
Marco Oge, the Department of Energy and the Environmental Protection Agency getting involved in the American Le Mans Series. Why was this year a good time for this relationship to really build?
Actually, this is an outstanding time for Le Mans to be involved. And I want to congratulate Le Mans because they had a vision 2 years ago to approach our agency, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Department of Energy, and suggest that we work together in partnership during this race to demonstrate clean, efficient technologies and at the same time maintain the performance and the high speed for these vehicles. The timing is outstanding because, as you know, we're facing some extraordinary times between energy security, climate change, and the huge unemployment that's going on in this country, along with our president's initiative to work hard and have all of us work hard towards green jobs and creating green jobs, not just in Detroit, but across the country. So this is an outstanding time for all these reasons, and we're very excited to be part of this outstanding race.
We said that the American Le Mans Series, the global leader in green challenge, obviously in green racing. Well, the Michelin Green X Challenge is a vital manufacturer competition within each of the 2009 American Le Mans Series races. It rewards the greenest prototype GT team at each event. The car that goes the furthest, the fastest, wins it. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Acura. Acura, Advance, and by Racing Radios, the official radio communications provider of the American Le Mans Series. Some of the fog has lifted a little bit, but you still see it out there in the distance. It kind of rolled in a bit early today, Dorsey. I thought it may cool down very quickly when that fog came in, but we're starting to see some sunshine yet again.
Yeah, it did cool down quite a bit. Now it's come back at us with the sun, but later on this afternoon, without question, it's going to be something to deal with. It gets cold around here.
I would expect to see very different tire compounds, too, as the weather changes. That fog comes in. The weather changes. What's Michelin, about every 10 to 20 degrees has a different compound?
They'll go pretty soft tonight, no question about it, because they're going to end up at dark before this is over with, and the temperature's going to drop off probably into the 50s, low 50s.
Simon Pagenaud continuing to lead. We talk about tires and tire temperature. Remember, he came to pit road just before the pits closed, able to take on new tires and take fuel, but this time behind the pace car, those tires are very cool right now, and we've talked about how long on a low grip track it takes to get back to temperature and pressure. But Pagenaud, you hear the crew, green, green, green. Clean racetrack in front of him. He's got it all his own way. Look at him go.
Yeah, he's going to be clocked out of here, no question about that. Behind him is all kind of Porsches going to have to be manipulated through for the other cars. There's David Murray in the Ford GT, but now look at this mess.
Wow.
Oh, and a crash. That's the Ford Corvette. Got a little greedy there. A lot greedy. Sorry.
Down on the inside, the 92 BMW involved as well. That's Tommy Milner behind the wheel. In the 4 Corvette is Ollie Gavin.
Ollie went down the inside. Brian had his left side tires in the sand, in the dirt. Couldn't get stopped and really clocked there. Look at the damage. There goes the hood.
This will bring out another full course caution. I would think, you always say yellows breed yellows, but parts now being strewn around the racetrack. One of the things and one of the improvements to this racetrack in the offseason was additional asphalt runoff at the exits to turn 2 and turn 5, I believe, to try to keep cars out of the gravel trap. And I'm not sure if Tommy Milner didn't go beyond that. You see one of the challenge cars with a problem. Yes, Milner in that gravel. And there's probably an extra 20 feet of blacktop beyond the, quote, racing surface, but Milner in the gravel, and the double yellows wave again here for the 3rd time at Laguna Seca. You see that extra pavement out there beyond the white stripe.
Well, that was your leader in the class. before. Big right rear damage. Like I was saying right before that green, I saw a lot of Porsches that would have to be dealt with.
And that's one of the problems here at Laguna Seca. At the end of that front straightaway is that very tight corner, and I think it's easy to get in there and become a little overly optimistic. Let's take a look from on board. That's the 92 of Milner.
This is a big accordion effect, and of course we already know Ollie Gavin was inside with the Corvette. These are big hits. These are not a little hit. I mean, you can see from the damage, the problem with the BMW, the hit that's the hardest is right behind where the doors open on the exhaust pipe system. Big damage down low there, and that's crucial.
And I think the 9 was in there as well. I mean, David Brabham may have dodged a bullet. Look at the damage to the front end of Ollie Gavin's Corvette as he comes to pit road. The traffic just stacks up. Let's take a look. Look for the Patron entry. He is right there in the middle. We're not even close to 70% of this yet. There is a championship on the line. David Brabham just dodged a bullet.
Well, Ollie Gavin was passing David Brabham in the Corvette.
In the braking zone.
In the braking zone into what we know is congested area with a bunch of GT and challenge cars in the way. I don't know exactly what he was thinking.
Looks like repairs going on down on pit road. Jamie, what have you got?
They actually took that number 4 machine back behind the wall into the garage area. The entire team moving back there right now to get to work on it. They are planning on running this package in 2010, so they're still trying to learn a lot about the car and make all of these repairs in the fastest amount of time possible. They determined today that that was going to be done in the garage, so I'll keep you posted as they get to work.
Well, thanks, Jamie. You know, one of the differences from this GT2 car to the GT1 car, Dorsey, the GT2 car, by rules, has steel brakes. The GT1 car had carbon. Tell me about the braking differences as you watch the work going on the Corvette.
Well, there's a lot of braking differences. I mean, the carbon fiber brakes can just really stop at twice at the speed that these steel ones are. I don't think that was the problem, though. I think basically what happened was Brabham didn't want any part of that situation, and as a result, he gave up real easy. And Gavin was caught out and said, "Oh my God, I almost ran back him," so he went to the inside. That could be the mistake made. Let's take a look. Here is David Brabham.
Get the brakes on the Corvette cold as well.
Now look, he's given up already. He says, "I don't want part of this." But watch, here comes the Corvette. Bam. See, Brabham read that. He read it properly. He said, "I'm not going to put my car in jeopardy. I need to make 70%. But I think he caught out. I think he caught out Ollie Gavin.
I believe there may be a loose part on the left rear of the 9. I saw something hanging indeed. So Ollie Gavin did get a piece of the number 9, the Patron Highcroft entry. How big a bullet did he dodge? If that's all the damage that was done, he's going to be very lucky. See David Brabham waving to the safety workers there. I'm not sure what he was doing. Almost looked like he was pointing with his thumb or giving them the thumbs up. Yeah, perhaps he was warning him that, hey, I've got a piece that's loose on the back, and look for that as well. But we'll take an opportunity to take a quick break as we get this sorted out under full course caution yet again. The third of the day from the Monterey Sports Car Championships, Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. Simon Pagenaud putting on a driving clinic. Gilles de Ferran in his last drive. Thursdays don't miss Big Block Thursday on Speed. 3 big hours of races, chases, and crashes with Pinks all out at 8, jacked at 9, wrecked at 10. You got plans Thursday night? Well, now you do. Big Block Thursday beginning at 8 Eastern, only on Speed. Cars behind the pace car here in round 10 of the American Le Mans Series. You know, one of the things that we bring you each broadcast is a Michelin Tire Tech piece, and those are usually brought to you by one of our intrepid pit reporters. But this time we went a little deeper and went inside the company to Sylvia Mamoni, manager of motorsports at Michelin North America, so she could bring us the Michelin Tire Tech piece this weekend.
Racing in the American Le Mans Series and at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, our teams and drivers work very closely with our Michelin engineers to ensure that the right tire is chosen for their tire needs throughout the race. They know that choosing the right tire changes everything. And that is even more important to consumers, and that is why we chose the American Le Mans broadcast of this Speed TV to showcase and launch our new Michelin Global Television commercial, reminding consumers that the right tire changes everything. Consumers are very much like our technical partners. They don't want to compromise. They don't want to compromise on handling, grip, braking, fuel efficiencies. Our job at Michelin is to ensure that we provide tires to meet all of their needs.
choosing the right tire. Definitely going to be an issue later today as the temperatures change for these competitors in the American Le Mans Series. And the great news from Michelin as well is they'll be back as a partner in the Michelin Green X Challenge for 2010 in the American Le Mans Series. So that is great. Cars behind the pace car right now, streaming up the hill to turn 6. And right now up front, Simon Pagenaud still on the point. That car has been the class of the weekend, and certainly you want to think that the 9 holding back just a little bit, but at the same point in time, they can't relax too much. They put themselves in harm's way. We just saw it. Ollie Gavin got a piece of the number 9. You can actually see it hanging from the black and green Acura number 9 right now as he goes through the corkscrews. It'll be interesting to see if he'll have to come to pit road. We talk about the Michelin Green X Challenge. Well, here's a look at the standings right now. Team Cytosport and their number 6 Porsche RS Spider leads, and in GT2 it's the 44 Flying Lizard Motorsports. Interesting to note the 44 running the E85 fuel this weekend and also ran it as well at Petit Le Mans. And my question is that a little foreshadowing that perhaps all the Porsches will run E85 in 2010. You see the number 9 has come to pit road. The beautiful white number 66 still behind the pace car. So it'll be one more lap behind the pace car here. But David Brabham, wonder if he's felt a vibration back there. Does he know that he's got damage to the left rear of that car right now?
Well, I think that's why they're bringing him. They're going to do fuel and tires too, but I think they see that. They don't want to get a black flag under green, so they're going to probably fix that.
Justin?
Yes, they did know the damage. Their spotter out on track did point it out, and they were watching our broadcast and saw it. They can't see it from the pit lane because of the height of the pit wall. It was held on by literally a wire there. It's part of the rear diffuser. Not even new tires attached to they do fuel. I was talking to you. And off they head off. So they needed to take that off. He could have obviously caused more damage.
Now, I know this car is very sensitive to aerodynamic changes. They've lost bits before and said the balance has changed 3 or 4% front to rear. Great to be bringing you this broadcast of round 10. We'll bring you broadcast as well in 2010. And here's a look at the schedule and the television as well. Started all off at Sebring as we usually do, and that will be a speed broadcast. 2 CBS broadcasts throughout the year, one from right here at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca in May, and then it's back to speed as we head to Salt Lake City, and then one more CBS broadcast from mid-Ohio in August, and then we'll be pleased to bring you the rest of the season. And what a way to end the season, Dorsey. That's the way I think it should be. Petit Le Mans as the final event.
No question about it. You start with a bang with Sebring, one of the best. If you've never been to Sebring, folks, you got to go there. If you've never been to Petit, you got to go there. There's 2 or 3 or 4 maybe in the world that I would say if a fan has to go to, you have to go to. These guys have 2 of them.
What a great shot this is from the helicopter. It really gives you an idea of this hill, this mountaintop that the racetrack sits on, and the beauty that surrounds it. Gives you an idea of the elevation change, not only on the way down from the corkscrew, but the run through 5 and 6 up the hill to the peak of that mountain, that hill there.
Well, when I said before you fall off the mountain, well, there it is, folks. And you can fall off the mountain, no doubt about it. So it's been done before.
And what a great place to watch the exit of the corkscrew, the right front tire off the ground of the cars as they turn through the corner. Right now, Simon Pagenaud holds down the point overall, but notice the beautiful red Ferrari right behind. That is the Risi Competizione entry. Pierre Capper behind the wheel. He leads GT2, and that is big news for the championship as we're racing once again.
That Ferrari, if it can win, is doing everything it can to get that championship wrestled away from the Flying Lizard car. Here comes that's the Los Fernandez car, the 15 car riding on board right now. Well, this car can win overall too, don't count it out.
And looking back a little further, behind the 62 in the GT2 category was that blue and green 17 entry, Ryan Sellers, the Falcon Tire entry, and you see him right there, the second GT car in the order. So perhaps those tires that they sent the boys to get last night are working right now. You see the number 3, the Corvette, Jan Magnussen behind the wheel, moving towards the front. I don't believe the 17 pitted, so perhaps that's another reason why they're running up front right now. But there is your championship leader, the 45, the Flying Lizard Porsche, Patrick Long behind the wheel.
I would think that on the Michelin cars that they started on their medium compound tire, Brian, it has never yet been hot this weekend, or what we would consider hot here, and it's going to get very, very cool later on today.
Checked in with Jörg Bergmeister, who did the first stint behind the wheel of that 45 machine, and he said, you know, the car feels pretty good when I'm out on track running by myself, but when I get stuck in traffic, we're struggling with a lot of understeer. It's very difficult to pass people, and it's very difficult to get around those challenge cars cars. So Patrick is going to have to be patient in order to finish this race.
So what she's saying right there is that these cars are aero-dependent on the nose, that when they gets behind someone, he loses the downforce on the front of that car. Of course, the engine's in the rear with the Porsche, so they need all the help they can get with front grip.
Patrick Long shared the GT2 championship with Jörg Bergmeister back in 2005. Thought they were going to do it back-to-back in 2006, but Patrick did not run all the races. Some guy named Roger Penske put Patrick Long in one of the Porsche RS Spyders that year for Petit Le Mans, I believe it was, and Patrick had to step out of the seat of the 45. So Jörg Bergmeister took that championship on his own, but Patrick Long very, very much a part of Jörg Bergmeister's championship, and they were reunited this year. Remember, Bergmeister won the championship with Flying Lizard last year with Wolf Hensler, but this dynamic duo back together again and perhaps repeating as champions in GT2.
It's a typical Patrick Long car, not a scratch on it. You can see it's all waxed and pretty. He keeps his car like that all the time. Oh, somebody's been off the road, Brian. A lot of dust here.
Looks like the 6 car, once again, Team Saito Sport, the 6 car right now, that Porsche RS Spyder that ran so well at Petit Le Mans. Greg Pickett behind the wheel right now. Pickett certainly knows this racetrack well. See what happens here, Dorsey.
Oh, Greg's made a mistake early in that corner. That's not the side that you normally go off on. You know about that, Brian.
He just tightened his hands a little bit there. Pickett, certainly, I said he's experienced this here. His first professional race ever in his career was here in 1974, and he's won 2 Trans Am races here as well. So a little bit of a problem there. And remember, Greg Pickett still getting used to the high technology of this Porsche RS Spyder. It's Simon Pagenaud who's leading overall, and the number 4 Corvette back out right now. Olivier Beretta behind the wheel.
That's amazing. Those guys at the Corvette, I tell you what, we've seen them at Le Mans when they've had problems there. They can fix this car and get it back in shape faster than any team out there. They are really good.
Well, become a follower of the American Le Mans Series on Twitter and Facebook, and you can keep up with everything that's going on, like the number 4 Corvette and the work they were doing. You get the latest series news and notes on and off the track through Twitter and Facebook pages. So check out AmericanLeMans.com to learn more. Right now, Simon Pagenaud, speaking of learning, he's taking everybody else to school. Crew taking a little bit of break. We will too. And then we'll be back to Laguna Seca. The white 66 leads at Laguna Seca, the Monterey Sports Car Championships. It is Simon Pagenaud behind the wheel. It's not a 60s flashback. It's not one of the Chaparrals, but it is painted just like those cars of old. Once again, a tribute to Jim Hall from Gilles de Ferran, a man who helped make his North American racing career. Pagenaud has led from the drop of the green, and Dorsey, they've had good strategy, and they certainly have a good race car underneath them.
No question about it. Again, though, remember the 9 car with David Brabham at the start. He's cruising right now. The race is not on yet, believe me. I mean, right now they're running. Here is the 9 car. I think we're going to see at the end of this race an outright duel between these two, as we've seen throughout the entire year this year.
Just an hour and 21 minutes into a 4-hour event, so plenty of time left. It'll be interesting to see if Brabham and Sharp can mount a charge. Remember, they do have a little bit of damage to that car, thanks to Ollie Gavin and the move down into turn 2. But another great battle that's raged all race long in prototype is the battle between Johnny Mollem and the 37 of John and Clint Field. There's a look at Johnny Mollem, who runs 3rd right now, and what a great performance they have. You see Clint Field a little bit further back as they've gotten separated in traffic, but the 48 car, the best run they've had all year was at Lime Rock Park, and right now they're on track to run again up to 3rd and having a good run of it. They've run so strong all weekend long, Jamie.
They have, and it really speaks a lot about the amount of development that's gone into that car. One of the aspects of running that hybrid motor in that car is that they have to run a different aerodynamics package on the car. This year, when the ACO shortened the wing length of the LMP1 cars, they also changed the front downforce, but because of where the hybrid motor has to go in the car, they can't run that same front downforce, those same front downforce pieces. So seeing them compete with a proper LMP1 car to be able to hold their own really says a lot about the team.
You see Mollem working through turn 10 there, the compression. Take a look at this. This was a battle a little bit earlier on. Johnny Mollem in that black and blue 48 slides up inside Clint Field going through turn 11. Made it look easy.
Yeah, Clint didn't look like he even wanted to contest that. I don't know why he wouldn't have, but look at that braking maneuver.
But this is what they've been doing all race long. They've gone back and forth. great battles. And remember how strong we saw John Field early on, putting the pressure on the 9 and the 66. The 4 car. Olivier Beretta behind the wheel right now, paying the price for his partner's mistake.
Let me explain that. Last time he came in, he hadn't stopped in his pit box, and you have to stop and shut the engine off and restart it. Since he didn't do that, they made him come up to the pit penalty box, shut it off, restart it. Now he's paying the penalty for that turn 1 or turn 2 melee he caused down there.
1 minute and 25 seconds. Mr. Beretta will get to sit there right now before he gets back out on the racetrack. So I think right now, Ollie Gavin may be having a conversation with one Doug Feehan. But for more on pit road, we'll head down to Justin.
So, John, we were just talking about the extraordinary battle that you're having at the front there is continuing now with Clint. I mean, it looks a lot of fun. It's like a terrier with the bulldog.
It's for sure. It's a good fight, man. We're doing everything we can to stay in the fight up there. We're having a lot of fun today. The car's handling pretty good. At the track is throwing a lot of sand up on it, so you got to fight that. So.
You said you just got to use what you use and use what you've got, and you certainly did that.
Yeah, that's the deal. Everybody's under the same rules and the same conditions, so you know, if you stay in there and you keep it clean, you'll have a good race.
Well, I don't want to screw up your own pit stop, so let's get out of the way here.
Your leader in GT2, the 62 Ferrari, on pit road now. And remember, they need to win this race. It was Pierre Caffer who was behind the wheel on the track.
Wonder what they're doing here. I mean, this is a bit odd right now.
Justin?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they had a little bit of body damage on the front left-hand corner, which was causing some smoke as they just drove by. They're looking at it right now. You can see down in there. I mean, more than a little. Look at this. You can see carbon fiber damage around there. They changed all 4 tires, obviously putting fuel in. A little bit of a pause in momentum here. And they're okay. Jamie got something there?
Actually, what we just heard on the radio, Justin, water leak. Do you see water anywhere in that car? It seems to be losing liquid under the left front of the car, it looks like to me.
Yes, I do see water. It's coming right from inside the wheel well there. I guess until they get in there, it's confusing them. And they obviously know the origin of the water, but what the next step is still being... Jamie?
Well, the 33 Jaguar from RSR is on track. We talked about it in the program that this is their test bed. This is the first time this car has done any sort of testing and development work. So they came into pit lane with a little bit of smoke in the car, but that's to be expected because they're not sure how this operates. But I think the bigger thing here is that they're preparing for 2010. And one way that they're doing that, because this is a brand new team, is they actually have an IMSA official in their pit box instructing them on the rules of the series and the rules of the pit stop, who's allowed to do what, who's allowed to not touch anything, and they're learning as they go here today.
Well, here's something strange. The 9 car that was in second place is making a pit stop. This will be unscheduled as well. I have no idea why they would come in at this point. See what they do.
Brabham to his marks, and it looks like they're taking the engine cowling off. Justin?
Yeah, they certainly are. They're taking the engine cowling off. We'll have a look with them and discover it at the same time as they do. They're right in there. They're looking down by the headers.
Trying to listen to crew communication.
Well, they're not attempting to fix anything right now. They're looking for what I would think would be a leak.
I don't know if it's a leak, Dorsey. It looks like they're playing with electrical connections on the actuator there for the gearbox. That's just the first hint from me, but they're playing with wiring connections rather than mechanicals.
Interesting to see if telemetry showed them the problem and they're trying to catch something before it gets too big, or did David Brabham have a problem on the racetrack and begin to lose speed? One of the things about these cars is they are so technologically advanced, Dorsey. As you well know, the electronics in them, I mean, that is the brain. It's an electronic shift mechanism, the controller for the upshift and the downshift. And remember, 70% is what they're racing to, and we are far from that right now.
We aren't really racing yet. I mean, David was just keeping the car out of harm's way.
Position sensor. It shouldn't really affect what you do. That's just a barrel rotation. It might have failed, and that was why you're getting the F on the steering wheel. Now we're going to fuel the car. Fuel it, Chuck.
Said something about the actuator and the shift.
And the barrel rotation. They're talking about the shift, the paddle shifter on there. The barrel rotation is the...
Okay, David, fire up. Let's go. Give that a run.
The barrel, as it turns to the right, shifts the gears.
Come back, David.
Yeah, I still have amp on that effect.
So this is definitely an electronic gearbox issue is what we're getting to right here.
Well, my question is, can an electronic issue become a mechanical issue? And the 62, we understand, has withdrawn. And if that is the case, then the 45 will take the championship. At 1 hour and 28 minutes into this event, a problem for the 62. Remember, they needed to finish at least second, if not win. We know there was a lot of traffic out there. Let's take a look. This was with the 33.
Oh, he just misread that, and you see he just clipped the corner there, the left front of the Ferrari to the right rear of the Jag. And there's the steam. He's busted the radiator, or busted a fuel hose, I mean, of a coolant hose. And that's the end of the story after a long year.
Wow, the disappointment. They came here. Remember, this is a team that has won 5 major endurance races in a row. And they came here, they needed to win or finish second. They were running up front. The championship hopes in GT2 have been dashed for Risi Competizione Ferrari. But for Simon Pagenaud and Gilles de Ferran, still very much alive.
You're watching the American Le Mans Series on Speed.
Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Acura. Acura, advance. Monterey Sports Car Championships for Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. It's still Simon Pagenaud up front in that new liveried number 66, the Acura P1 entry of de Ferran Motorsports. We had some great battles throughout and a great battle in GT2 for a while until we saw the problems with the number 62 Ferrari. He is out. The championship goes to the 45, but a good run for the 21, the Panos PTG entry this weekend. Dominic Farnbacher behind the wheel right now and having a great run, Dorsey, up to second in class.
Well, I hope you didn't just jinx him on that one, right? Usually when you talk about somebody having a good run,
it all goes out the window.
Yeah, it does. But you're right. They're having a really good go of it so far.
They just checked in with Ian James, the number 21 car. That is the same car they ran here last year, and they did finish on the podium. And when I talked to Dominic Farnbacher earlier in the weekend, he was just so excited about coming back to this track because of the success that they had here last year. And they're still not out of the top 3 in the championship. They finished ahead of the 87 car and ahead of the 92 machine. They can get that 3rd spot in the championship, so this team has a lot of pressure riding on it today.
And a great battle right there between 2 prototypes. Diaz, you look from the camera that faces the rearward off of the 15 Acura, the P2 entry, and that was the 48, the P1 entry of Corsa Motorsports with Johnny Mollem behind the wheel.
Now here's something to look at, Brian. Not too long ago, Luis Diaz was running 113s. He just ran a 117. I'm starting to want 119. I'm starting to wonder if not the 15 Los Fernandez car has a problem. Are they going for fuel mileage run? Do they got that thing turned down?
And we've seen them play the fuel mileage game earlier in the year. It has won them races. It won them a race at Salt Lake City. We've seen it other places as well. It's probably some of the best strategy from the pit box on that team. Tom Anderson and the boys down there at Los Fernandez Racing know how to get the job done on the track and with strategy.
Well, he's running 6 seconds a lap slower than we ran about 15 laps ago. So the speed's not off on the car. I think they're playing the game, Brian. We've seen him win like this.
One less pit stop is just that much more time that you're on the racetrack and your competition is refueling. So we'll have to see as Mollem flashes by, running 3rd overall right now, 2nd in P1.
You know, if you tell him to turn the ECU down and take the power away.
The next car behind you is Clintonfield and is 2 laps behind, so you're on your own.
You're on your own, radio communication.
You know, you can turn down the ECU and gain mileage. You can pull back the RPM, gain more mileage. And if you could gain a full pit stop advantage, you know, that's huge, depending on what cautions you do.
Look at Mollem right now, all over the back of the number 99, or the number 9, I should say. The Patron Highcroft entry, David Brabham, is he playing the fuel mileage game, or is that damage that we saw to the under tray a bit of an issue, or the gearbox? We talked about that, Dorsey. We had a chance to ride during break, and we listened to the 66 and the 9. I quite frankly think that David Brabham is using 1 less gear right now. I don't know if the ratios are different or not. Perhaps that gearbox is a bit of an issue, Justin.
Well, at first they didn't think it was an issue. The dash just lit up like a Christmas tree, and the alarms were showing in the pits, not in the car. They came in and they actually disconnected that sensor. So sometimes running blind is better than running with a faulty sensor. That was the update I had. It was nothing mechanical that David felt. As far as the aerodynamics go on the rear, yes, Brian, it does reduce the downforce effect at the rear with the the diffuser system starts very far in front of the rear wheels and literally accelerates that speed. It creates the airflow that sucks the car down to the ground. So it is probably off. Whether it's even in the percentage range, they couldn't really tell me, but it is an effect, and especially under brake. So the car's starting to get its battle wounds, but they're running within quite a comfortable cushion right now still.
And in the meantime, while all that was going on, we heard on the Fernandez radio they tell Luis to go to fuel map 3. Now, we don't know what fuel map 3 means, but it does tell us one thing. They are playing a game right now.
It's not 1 or 6, so it's in the middle.
Yeah,
so
they're doing something right now, strategy-wise.
Brabham dropping back. Mollem has moved into 2nd overall and 2nd in the P1 category. So I don't know. I'm going to bet that Brabham is not, all is not well with that 9 car. David Brabham, I should say, 4th right now in class and 6th overall.
Well, they just told David Brabham on the radio, don't mess with Stefan. You know, he's not in the picture for us for the championship. Remember, we're playing big picture right now. So just stay at your single pace, what you're doing right now. And the Patron challenge car in a minute ago, we just passed that, and it was smoking pretty good up on top of the hill, too. So it might be trouble there for that machine.
Brabham into turn 11. You heard the downshifts there. Just very, very methodical, and maybe that's the case, Dorsey. Maybe it's the, I don't need to rush anything. I'm going to be smooth with the upshifts, smooth with the downshifts. We're going to take care of this box. Maybe it was a sensor problem, but I'm not going to take any chances with it. I'm going to be as smooth as I can. But you and I were talking about electrical issues becoming mechanical issues.
Well, it could. I mean, if they didn't fix the problem and you have an electrical issue and you say you're going to go from 2nd to 3rd gear and it doesn't do it, it gets hung between. You can actually jam 2 gears at once and break a gear, and this is big here, Melanie Snow.
Problems. These are your leaders, Martin and Melanie Snow, leaders in the championship for the ALMS Challenge class. They need to finish 50% of the Challenge class winners distance today if they want to claim their championship. And right now, that Porsche being pushed behind the wall.
Yeah, they didn't drive behind the wall. They were pushed behind the wall. That's not usually a good indicator.
Talk about smooth, though. This weekend has been a smooth one for the 66 team. And why shouldn't it have been? I mean, the team so strong all year long. Were it not for Sebring, where they scored no points, the championship would be even closer. And if the wing on the back end of this car were just about 4 feet further up in the air, it'd look even more like a chaparral.
I think for Gilles de Ferran, this emotional outgo, you know, as he leaves the career, with Jim Hall here, the guy that got him started in pro racing here in the United States, dedicating the car to the 66 car, you know, it's huge. I said before, when those cars went on track before for the display run, the crowd went completely crazy. I mean, they were all up cheering. I think, for me, it gave me goosebumps because I saw those cars running the 60s. You weren't probably born yet.
Impressive stuff, and impressive stuff by this young man all year long. Simon Pagenaud is quite the find by Gilles de Ferran, and I think he has really shown not just us and not just fans of the American Le Mans Series, but the world as well, just what kind of a driver he is based upon his performance at Le Mans this year. And a Peugeot. More on the 57, Jamie.
Well, I spoke with a very emotional Melanie Snow as she saw her championship hopes go out the window. She said everything was running fine on the car in the earlier race today that we talked about, but as soon as they got new fuel, the car started acting differently. It wasn't running properly. When they came in for the pit stop, they couldn't even get it to refire. So she believes that something is wrong with the fuel. They have Porsche engineers supporting that team and helping them out, so they're taking it back into the garage area, but a very upsetting day for the Snow family.
That is interesting. Perhaps they can go back, pump that fuel out, put new in, and see if that's the problem. Remember, we saw water in the fuel problem at Petit Le Mans for the 6th entry in the P2 category, so you never know. There are the points as they stand right now, 4 or 5 races. See Martin and Melanie with the lead, so it's not over yet, but Hoagland and Fayetta, they're right there, and more importantly, they're still running.
They need to get the car back out on the racetrack and complete 50% of the laps of that class, and then Melanie will be okay, but that could be easier said than done. These are not easy issues to fix if it's not a fuel problem.
Simon Pagenaud working his way through, still holding down the point. Could it be a storybook ending for Gilles de Ferran in his professional motorsports career? From here at Mazda Raceway in Laguna Seca, we'll find out as we continue with round 10 of the American Le Mans Series right after this. A little bit of a flashback. The 66 that you were looking at today, no, the rear wing was not quite as high as it was back in the day when Jim Hall's Chaparrals really took the fight to everyone in sports car racing. This is from Sebring. We had a chance to talk about the emotions for Gilles de Ferran this weekend. What about the emotions for Jim Hall, who was very much a part of de Ferran's career?
1958, and I came here all the way through 70 every year, and so I feel a lot of nostalgia here, and it's great to be here with Gilles. Gilles was the last driver that drove for me professionally. I had a really good couple of years with him. He's a great guy to work with. I really did enjoy it. He's a real competitor. So Gilles decided that he would kind of honor me with a paint job like the Chaparrals and asked me out here. I was excited, and I'm really looking forward to get on the track with him.
Get on the track with him, they did, and Simon Pagenaud now brings that 66 to pit road, and Gilles de Ferran will be climbing in. We're under full course caution for the 4th time today, and there is Gilles de Ferran, and you've got to think the ability to push the emotion to the back, Dorsey, it's got to be difficult to do, because de Ferran knows that not only is this his last run, but he's climbing in a car that is capable of winning and was leading, and if anybody could do it, it would be that man, one of the most focused men I've ever seen in motorsports as he climbs into the 66.
Right now the adrenaline's got a hold of him. He's not thinking about quitting. He's not thinking about anything more than getting this job complete. The job that Simon Pagenaud started, bringing the car in the lead. Justin?
Yeah, it is actually quite emotional watching Gilles de Ferran getting into the car, a race car for really the last time in an amazing career. You know, he's a hero, he's a champion, he's a gentleman, and he's a friend to all of us. So really tremendous. It's a very steady pit stop. They're actually made a little adjustment to the rear wing. The Lowe's Fernandez car is a little too close in front, so they're struggling to get out. But it was an excellent pit stop as Gilles heads up the pit lane for the start of his last driving stint in his career. Amazing. Fernandez has just got out, and Luis has just got out. Fernandez is now in the car, and they've had a great pit stop as well. Spin the tires as they go out. This is a really great scene down here, guys. This yellow flag provided an opportune moment for some fuel windows.
Let's take a look at why we're under full course caution for the 4th time. One thing about the gravel traps around here that help increase safety, they also help increase full course caution.
Oh, Simon Pagenaud, right there, overall leader, almost gets in the same thing as you see the 69. Watch, that's Simon's view. Galen Beeker with the spin, Honda spin with the 69, but he was the leader in challenge category at that given point in time. So that was spinning out a lead and getting stuck in the gravel trap. Of course, we were under caution.
Did you ever spin out of the lead in your career?
No.
I did.
You did?
I did.
Did you get yelled at?
I didn't have to get yelled at. I yelled at myself. It's amazing. You get out there in front and your brain begins to wander from the things that you need to be doing, the task at hand, and it's easy to make a mistake. Now that de Ferran has taken over the controls of the 66, what about the man who piloted it to the lead and had such a good run going throughout this event? Justin?
Standing here with Simon Pagenaud, what a fantastic stint you had at the beginning of this race, but quite emotional for you to hand over to Gilles as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was, you know, the most emotional moment was at the start with the parade laps and the white livery on the car for Jim Hall, and it was just unbelievable. But the car was amazing from the get-go. The Acura was just unbelievable once again. The tire, you know, we had some issue to warm up the Michelin tires at the beginning of the weekend, but in the race it was just outstanding. It was really good. So I had a blast, I had a very, very good time. I was, you know, I pushed as hard as I could. It was the last race, so there's no much concern for the next one.
And you were able to control the pace, but you pulled out a gap immediately. Were you surprised by the pace of some of the other cars, and what's it like in the traffic?
The traffic is obviously a big deal, but it plays in our hands this weekend. So I was really, I really had a good time in traffic. Everybody did a pretty good job. It's obviously very tough to pass the GT3, which are very, there's a big speed difference, but it's amazing. You know, those prototypes, they're just amazing cars.
Well, now you're just like us. You're a spectator till the end. Thank you, guys.
Well, sounds like they've got a car for that, but we've got an app for that too. Brand new feature to AmericanLeMans.com. The series is now offering a free iPhone app for downloading online. AmericanLeMans.com continues to expand its abilities to reach, so check out AmericanLeMans.com today and look for the iPhone icon. Gilles de Ferran in his final run. You can get the latest racing news, commentary, and exclusive analysis from SpeedTV.com's personalities and industry experts like Timo Bernhard, Darren Law, Romain Dumas, Andy Wallace, and more. Log on to SpeedTV.com Auto Racing today. Beautiful day here in the Monterey Bay Peninsula. It has been fantastic. We've seen good battles throughout, and including a good battle in the American Le Mans Series Challenge class. There's a new challenge class coming for 2010, the ALMS LMP Challenge class, and they tested it at Petit Le Mans.
Yeah, I definitely think this LMP Challenge class is really going to be a hit with the series. I mean, just with the amount of interest that we see here on a day like today. The car, I definitely think, is going to be fast enough. It's built off of an already proven endurance racer, so I think that the teething problems really aren't going to be there, and I'm really impressed. Right from the get-go, I mean, it's a proper, real LMP car. It's not an adaptation or something that's trying to be something else. It is an LMP car, and I think it's going to fit really well with the series.
Gunnar Jeanette, one of the first to drive it, standing there with Jay Cochran from the test. Cochran looking to get into it as well. These are the way the classes will unfold in 2010. LMP, that'll be a combination of P1 and P2 like we've seen in years past, where they battled really well with each other as long as the rules are right. The LMP Challenge class, which is the car that Gunnar was testing there. GT will be the current GT2 cars, no more GT1, and then the GT Challenge class, which is what we call the ALMS Challenge class this year, Dorsey.
That's going to be very, very competitive racing, no question about that. As we look at the pace car, who's picked up the overall leader in the next class, since the overall leader now is pitted.
And that would be your challenge class leader, which is Shane Lewis in an ALMS Challenge class Porsche. Porsche's only in the challenge class. We understand that the 57 car has withdrawn, which is big news. That means the 36 of Bob Vietta and Wes Hoagland could win the challenge class.
Shane Lewis better pull his ears back, buddy.
Here we go. Hold on. The green flag waves on board with David Brabham. Remember what happened the last time he got to turn 2 on a restart?
He's being conservative still. You see, he didn't dive bomb in there, but might be somebody.
Yeah, there could be plenty of action down there. That's one of those places that just seems to bring it on. Now Brabham clearing Shane Lewis, working his way to the front. Now let's go back to the battle in GT2. The 45 and the 3, Patrick Long in the silver and red 45 Flying Lizard Porsche, and then the bright yellow number 3 of Johnny O'Connell, one of those beautiful Corvette C6Rs. Look at,
now where do you go with that?
Nowhere.
Road jam.
Gilles de Ferran behind the wheel of the 66 now. It's going to take him a while to get used to being back behind the wheel, and he got thrown into the deep end, Jamie.
He did, and coming on that last caution, when the 3 car and the 45 car came in, the 45 car did beat the 3 car out of pit lane. The number 3 machine, the Corvette, had a hard time getting started. He was actually off the jack sooner, but he got out of pit lane before, after the 45 car did.
And that's not going to make the boys at Corvette pleased at all. I know Danny Meeks and the guys down there take great pride in their pit stop. Anytime they're delayed on pit road, it really aggravates them. Right now, Johnny O'Connell trying to fight his way up so he can do battle with Patrick Long. And we heard the crew say earlier to Patrick, hey, the 62 has withdrawn. We can go for it.
Yeah, 45 car has been given, you know, free reign. Just go and do what you can do. Now, on these restarts, I talk about it all the time, you know, these yellows breed yellows. You have to have a little bit of patience in here as you try to work through this traffic. We don't see that very often.
We saw the 4 car in there as well. Olivier Beretta behind the wheel. That is not for position. Remember the problems that Ollie Gavin had earlier. And you look, one of the cars that we haven't really gotten to talk about all day long is the number 18, the BC Racing Porsche. Johannes Stuck behind the wheel. He's feeling racy.
Yeah, I'd say he just stopped and went right through the 2 Corvette team. We haven't seen much of that car, and sometimes that's good when you're looking at a 4-hour race. We're not quite, actually we are approaching the halfway mark now. A lot of time left to go, though.
Well, they've only run 3 races this year: Long Beach, Salt Lake City, and Lime Rock Park. The best of a 4th at Long Beach. So and then 2 5ths at Salt Lake City and Lime Rock. So a good top 5 contender when they run. Richard Westbrook in the car, Johannes Stuck in the car, 2nd in class right now, and also Lance David Arnold, who's a Porsche Super Cup youngster, is going to drive a little bit this weekend as well. They had some problems with sensors in the practice sessions and did not get nearly the time that they wanted. Johannes Stuck had not driven here before, so as you well know, this is a hard track to learn when you come here. You got to be impressed with the job he's doing right now.
This is an intimidating track to learn when you first come here, because it's one that lets you know on your first lap around, you get off here, you're going to have a big one.
Yeah, something's going to bite you. Now, we've seen the very liberal use of gravel traps around here over the years. They seem to have gotten bigger. Nice to see that little bit of extra runoff in turn 2 down there to try to help alleviate some of these full course cautions. But still, there are plenty of places around this racetrack where if you get off, Dorsey, you're stuck.
Well, you look at last year's race, for instance, we were behind the pace car for over 2 hours. Now, we've only had 4 pace car situations throughout this race, but they've been cleaned up very quickly. And of course, I hope we're not jinxing the rest of the race, but it's been pretty good. I know, I said it.
It's actually Richard Westbrook being shown on timing and scoring behind the wheel of the 18 right now. Westbrook, a more experienced driver in the American Le Mans Series than Johannes Stuck, and he's having a good run of it. And Johnny O'Connell, I'll tell you, he's got his hands full right now. Patrick Long continues to lead, but there's the 21, the Panos PTG entry that we talked about earlier that's having a good run as well. Ian James behind the wheel.
Ian James doing a good job. That car was as high as 2nd, as we said before. So this team giving a good accounting. A lot of smoke here for some reason. Someone's had a moment.
And interesting to note, the beginning of the season went well for the Panos PTG team and Ian James and Dominic Farnbacher. They had a 3rd at Sebring, a 3rd at St. Pete, and they also had a 4th at Salt Lake City. But pretty much from Salt Lake City on, it's been tough pickings to even get inside the top 5, so it's good to see them kind of find their way as we head into the final race of the year. Maybe that bodes well for 2010.
Well, and some racetracks suit this car for whatever reason. Some racetracks do and some don't. But when the car gets to a track it likes, it's very competitive, no question about that.
I know they struggled at the beginning of the season with a front tire that they liked. The Yokohamas just didn't seem to get them the turn in, and Yokohama worked hard to produce a tire that would do what they needed it to do, and perhaps that's what we're seeing here. Further tire development. You talk about tire development, the 17, Brian Sellers there, the Falcon tires, they're working on that team to really make that team better and to develop those tires to move forward. And you see the 87, the Lowles Fernandez Racing entry right there.
Wolf Hensler getting by.
I'm sorry, Farnbacher Lowles entry.
Wolf
I'm mixing teams up.
Wolf Hensler getting by pretty cleanly there on the infield run.
And this is a team that has just not had the results that you would think that they deserve this year. They struggled at Sebring, St. Pete, and Long Beach, and then kind of came back alive at Salt Lake City with a 3rd and a good run at Lime Rock Park. But they've been inconsistent at best, and a lot of times it's not been their own doing. They've had some problems on board the BMW.
We expect a lot more from that team, like you say, as we do right on board with Dirk Mueller now behind the wheel of the Ray Hall Letterman BMW. This car did so well. It got really into its own mode there for a couple of racetracks. It looked unbeatable. And when they got here, they just haven't picked up on the speed around here. I don't know why it was. I mean, Corvette showed a lot of speed in qualifying. Certainly the Ferrari gave it its best. Unfortunately, it's out.
5 podium finishes for the 92 this year. The sister car, the 90, has the win for BMW, but I talked to Bobby Rahal this morning, and the Dunlop tires, they're continuing to develop them as well. And this is very much a tire war right now, especially in GT2, I believe. You got to make sure the whole package is together, and those round black things, they're what really get the job done.
Right, exactly right, Brian. And BMW Rahal Letterman Racing are as professional and as big a team as anyone on the pit lane, even though they're in GT2, make no mistake about that. And very importantly, they've announced their plans for 2010, which involves the whole American Le Mans Series, which is just a great commitment level. Also, they're going to be heading to Japan in a few weeks' time to contest a big race over there. So this is a team getting an awful lot of experience this year. I think you're right, Dorsey. This is the team who have yet to show their full potential. They also haven't announced their full driver lineup for 2010. And Dorsey, Brian, we know this as drivers, how difficult it is this time of year. Spare a thought for all the young drivers out on this pit lane. Some of them, many of them, are not unsigned yet, are unsigned going into the off-season, and that is a horrible feeling. Everyone says, oh, you're a racing driver, you're so lucky, and you say, yeah, well, you get paid in December and we don't.
Yeah, amen, brother.
So Christmas can be nice, or it can be terrible, and like Tommy Milner, he has not been signed yet for next year. He hopes he will be, and he is not the only one. Johnny Molam just said to me, He said, I hope I put in a good enough performance to prove to them I need a good ride. I said, well, we gave you a good coverage on the broadcast because that was a spectacular run. But you're only as good as your last race. So this is a big deal, guys.
You were just talking about Johnny Mollem, Stefan Johansson behind the wheel of that Corsa hybrid right now, the Janetta Zytek. And Stefan Johansson slow as he heads up the hill to turn 5.
That's a bad place to be slow. If you're coasting, you won't make it. But I think he's got some power. Remember, this car has also some electric capability, so we'll see. It's going up the hill.
Up the hill to the corkscrew. Stefan Johansson trying to limp back around to pit lane, but Gilles de Ferran in his final run, the beautiful number 66 Acura, stays out in front. As we said before, will it be a storybook ending? Johnny Mollem looks on, looking at the problems that his teammate is having. We'll update you on the 48 when we come back to Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. Welcome back to the Monterey Sports Car Championships. Right now, Gilles de Ferran continues to keep the 66 out in front where they have been since the drop of the green. But it's not only for the race win. What about the Michelin Green X Challenge? We've kept you up to date with that all year long. We'll update you again here about just past halfway in this 4-hour event. The Lowe's Fernandez Racing, the P2 Acura leading in the prototype category over the number 9. And in the GT2 category, once again, that 44 Flying Lizard Motorsports Porsche running on the E85, having a good run right there, leading the GT2 Michelin Green X Challenge. Up towards the corkscrew. This is that place on the racetrack, Dorsey, where you said, you know, your heart's in your throat, and then everything falls away.
You know, in its own right, it's the easiest corner because it's so slow. But that being said, you get it a little bit wrong, and it's a huge penalty to pay.
The easiest corner. Yeah, right. Well, let's take a look at this battle going through the easiest corner. That is the number 18, Richard Westbrook, that is in front of the number 3, the first of the Corvettes in the picture right there. Johnny O'Connell behind the wheel, running 3rd in the GT2 category. And Westbrook, very experienced behind the wheel of a 911 GT3 RSR, really taking it to Johnny O'Connell right now. The number 4 Corvette, in the 3rd car in the order, is not for position.
That was Danny Binks telling Johnny O, that's for position, keep pushing him. So another thing I'm starting to pick up on around here, Brian, is the fog is returning. And at this time of the day when that fog returns, it drops temperature really quick.
It'll be interesting to see how tire compound choices change on this next round of pit stops. Westbrook has run 2 of the 3 races that BC Racing has run this year. Ran at Long Beach and at Lime Rock. And like I said, he's a very experienced Porsche pilot. Johnny O'Connell is probably going, where did this car come from? I haven't really seen him all year, and now what's he doing in front of me?
That's a very good point. I mean, the 18 is with hiding all day, and all of a sudden there it is in your face. And how did that happen to us? Johnny's giving him a lot of pressure right now. You saw Richard come off turn 3 with the back end wagon.
Well, the other thing is, when you don't know the people that you're racing with, how big a deal is that?
It's a big deal because, I mean, you just don't know if you can commit or not commit. You're always worrying about, you know, is this a guy I can drive my fenders inside of without him putting me in the weeds, or is it somebody who's going to put me in the weeds?
Patrick Long leads the GT2 category up in front of this battle right here for 2nd. Richard Westbrook holds it in the number 18 BC Racing Porsche, that white and magenta colored Porsche right there. And then Johnny O'Connell once again in the number 3 Corvette. It's impressive stuff by the 18. And we said they had some good runs. They finished 4th at Long Beach and then a couple of 5th place finishes. 4th is one thing, and remember the Corvettes weren't around then. Now they are involved in the GT2 battle, and for the 18 team, the BC Racing team, to come here and run as well as they're running right now is impressive stuff. And look at O'Connell. Yeah, I'll take advantage of that mistake.
He runs him on into the dirt. That was a little rough there. John could have done it too.
Now hit your marks, man.
Danny Binks, you're saying that was a little rough.
Now hit your marks.
Well, I'm not the team manager. If I was Danny, I'd say, good job, man. Watch this stuff.
You're saying that's a little rough, Danny Binks going, good job.
Well, see, he gets inside right up here, and that part's all fine and dandy. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It was Westbrook's mistake, but now, watch, when he gets off the corner, no, there's not room for both of us.
I think I'll just kind of put you over there a little bit. Now, remember the spin that Johnny had at Petit Le Mans. Thank you. I'll push you over there. Now, and when he spun, remember what Danny Binks said on the radio then?
I talked to Danny about that the other day when he said, was that behind the caution car?
He said, are you going to tell me that we just crashed behind the pace car or something like that?
We had a really good giggle, Danny and I, about that. He said, thanks for noting that for me. He goes, and you're right. I was not saying that in my helmet, you know.
Now that is the number 4 car, the yellow Corvette, behind the VC Racing Porsche right there. Olivier Beretta behind the wheel. And remember, they're running further back. They're 11th in class in the GT2 category because of the problems that we saw Ollie Gavin have a little bit earlier on. And that's the 44 Flying Lizard Porsche that is back there as well. Johannes van Overbeek behind the wheel running 7th in the GT2 category.
Now the second Corvette comes by. Another good repass. Richard goes to the inside, takes position, and he will run him off if need be this time.
He's like, no, I got pushed around by one of you bumblebees just a minute ago. I'm not going to let it happen again.
Well, we talk about BC Racing not being in the front during the course of the year. We shouldn't really say it that way. We've seen segments with Richard Westbrook behind the wheel of this car that were really good driven segments, and we've taken note of that as the year went on. So Richard Westbrook doing a great job here, and that was some classy racing going on back there.
Now, once again, that was not for position, and I'm sure the team on the radio telling Richard Westbrook, look, that car that's behind you right now, it's all well and good to keep him back there if you think he's going to slow you down if he's in front, but don't lose, don't lose the battle with somebody who doesn't really matter. Don't risk damaging your car because you got a good run going right now.
Well, that's the deal about running a 2-car team. The 4 car is not in this any way, shape, or form as it went out early on in that crash in turn 1. But it now is a pawn. It's a usable piece of equipment that you can use to manipulate or help your situation. Trust me, everybody runs dual car teams uses this at one point or another. Oh, it went off a little bit there.
Yeah, the 18 having a good run today, but this car, remember at Petit Le Mans, the job that David Murray did in qualifying, had a good run. They've come to pit road, and their season's not going to end here. They, too, are going to Japan. Jamie?
They are, Brian. They're leaving from here, from Laguna Seca, and going back to their shop at Road Atlanta. They're going to prep the car at Road Atlanta, and then it ships out to Japan on Friday. So Robertson Racing is taking 19 crew members over to Japan to run those 2 races in the Asian Le Mans Series. And when I spoke with Andrea Robertson earlier in the weekend, she said, you know, I'm really excited about going over to Japan, but I am the type of person that just cannot sit still, so I am not looking forward to that 14-hour flight that we're going to have to take on the way. But crew hard at work. This team has done a lot of development work throughout the course of the 2009 season and even in 2008 as well, and we really saw them come to their own, as you said, at Petit Le Mans with that pole position. So running well again today, and they've got a lot of work cut out for them in the coming weeks.
Well, I actually raced in Le Mans, and it was privileged to go over there, and these are the cars that are going over to Japan. They should also be prepared not only for that 14-hour flight, but for rain. It rained. I was there 8 days. It rained 7 of the 8. And the little cars you race against over there, you don't know what they are, but they're fast little guys.
I think you meant Japan. You said
Japan. Yeah, I'm sorry, Japan.
They're in 2 different continents. You know
well, it's all the same.
It's a long plane ride, and Dorsey hates plane rides, so
it was a long plane ride.
He tries to forget about those. I'm sure you were probably in the middle seat all the way over there.
The cars, though, that you race against over there, you don't know what they are, but my God, they are fast. Little bit twin turbo things that just squeal around real fast.
Well, David Robertson going to try to take the 40 back up to speed here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, where Gilles de Ferran continues to lead overall. The 66 not putting a wheel wrong all weekend long. There's Danny Binks watching on. He was just on the radio with Johnny O'Connell. De Ferran leads overall, and what a great run right now in P2 for Adrian Fernandez. Can they tie the record for the number of P2 wins in a series?
Hey, you're watching the American Le Mans Series on Speed.
Thursdays on Speed. Don't miss Big Block Thursday. 3 big hours of races, chases, crashes with Pinks all out at 8, Jacked at 9, and Wrecked at 10. You got plans Thursday night? Well, you do now. Big Block Thursday beginning at 8 Eastern, only on Speed. Now that shot is beautiful, but it doesn't show the elevation change. When he was hanging back, off to the side, you could really see it. That gives you a pretty good idea of what it's like dropping off the corkscrew. That left-right, and as you said, Dorsey, you better be pointed in the right direction when you make that left-hand turn. And I think the thing that's interesting is, what do you aim for when you do it? What's your reference mark?
There's a big old tree out there. You know, you brake and you aim for the tree because you can't see when it drops down. The 16 car is on pit lane with the engine hatch off. This is the unclassified car that's testing a new fuel and running in a different configuration as they learn about this car for next year.
The biobutanol. So it looks like they've got some kind of an issue. We saw a problem earlier for the 20 as well, and the 4 just had a problem, Jamie.
Well, we can see that Guy Smith just got out of the number 16 machine, and they are not putting another driver in the car at this time. But the Ford car, the Corvette crew, is also set up for the number 4 machine to come in. I'm hearing that they did have contact out on the racetrack looking for damage on the number 16. Right now they have that rear bonnet off, taking a look at it, but the number 4 machine is on pit road.
And the right front down on that car, so don't know if they got together, but things not going the way they wanted to. They must have happened there at turn 10, I believe.
Well, look at the right front's all smashed up. We'll take a look at what happened here on board. This is turn 10, approaching turn 10. Oh, he got into the Dyson car, which explains why it's on pit road. Look at here.
We see it kind of after the fact there, but that was interesting. It seemed like the 16 was well and truly passed before he got that contact. It was right front to left rear.
Could we say the 4 car's not having a good day?
That's what I said earlier. It's not having a good day.
No, it's not.
You see the crew going to work there, fitting that new right front Michelin tire, pulling some of the carbon fiber bodywork away, but these guys, yeah, not having a good day at all. And you got to wonder about the steering, the alignment on the Corvette, and what about the right rear, or the left rear, I should say, on the Dyson entry?
I think the Dyson car, they're going to probably stop running it. It's in the pit lane. But did you see that wheel? You saw that the whole wheel was broken. So you're talking about steering arms and so forth. Absolutely right. That right front took a huge hit. And you're talking about turn 10. You're running 40 mile an hour through there.
Well, and we go back to the differences in the GT cars and the prototypes with the downforce that they have and the cornering speeds that they have. Is it possible that a driver, even the caliber of Olivier Beretta, just didn't see him as he transitioned back to the left to begin that right-hand move down to the apex of turn 10?
It's the only explanation, Brian. There's no other way that you could see that, because we could both clearly see the Dyson car well and truly in the lead of that.
And you know, the contact was right front to left rear, and I know that Olivier Beretta, a much better driver than that, so perhaps the blind spot a little bit there on the 4 car, but as we said earlier, it's just not their day. But for the 3, not going so bad. Johnny O'Connell running second in GT2. Well, we've shown you plenty of scenes from outside the cars. What about from inside and on board today? This is the number 9, currently running second, David Brabham, but you'll look right there behind him.
That's Joe DeFerrin trying to put a lap.
DeFerrin already a lap up, 101 laps in the book. Brabham with 99, so kind of try to put him another lap down. We talked about how good this 66 has run all day, and we know that the 9 had a little problem and had to come to pit road a couple of times to have some service done. But right now, it's running to 70% is right. The goal.
And that 70% is not too far in the distant future either. I should point that out. You know, Brabham knows now he's not going to make up the 1 lap. He's not going to make up the 2. So his job right now is just to ride. He's out there let's get it to the 70%, win the championship, because the rest of it means nothing right now.
Absolutely. You know, we did some figuring at the 2-hour mark, and it looked like about 107 laps would be the 70% mark, but we had considerable number of yellows. We've been green for a little while since then, but got to think that maybe around lap 110 they could start to feel pretty confident and comfortable that the fact that they have secured the 2009 Drivers' Championship in the P1 category. Meanwhile, Gilles DeFerrin, as we've said before, trying to go out with a storybook ending.
No question about it. You know, David Brabham's been driving that car from the beginning. I'm wondering if they're going to run him all the way through to the 70% mark before they put Scott Sharp in there. I mean, he's been in there a long time.
That's a very interesting point as DeFerrin works through turn 2. DeFerrin working through traffic, but we'll head back down to pit road and Justin Bell.
Thank you, Brian. Something that you and Dorsey in your Ritz-Carlton style booth, Eagle's Eye nest up there in the booth won't know is that the temperature's actually dropped by about 10 degrees since the start of the race, and the fogs come in, as you pointed out, and it's very, very cold. So just when BMW came in, I was watching their pit stop, and I went to the Dunlop engineer. They were testing the track temperature quite adamantly beforehand, and I asked if they were starting to use different compounds, and they have. What they actually put on was soft fronts and retain the hard riz. That is because while they obviously can't do much about the weather, they can control the compound levels that they have on the car. So right now they've got a mix, an intermediate sort of setup, if you like. Dorsey, which obviously indicates they've got an understeer, a push in the car, and because you wouldn't want a harder rear tire around here because it is so slick, the surface. So you're going to see a lot of that start to happen as the teams are working with their tire engineers. We heard from Michelin earlier. They're doing everything they can on their side with their specialists to bring their knowledge to help the teams. So it's not just the teams that are working hard here. It's reams of these amazing tire engineers who are on top of their game. So you can see the fog rolling across the hills here, and we're going to be in for the temperature's going to drop, so soft compounds all around, and I bet the drivers are saying that on the radio.
And we can actually see on the tires mark there, Brian, you pointed out to me the XS, which is Michelin's extra soft. That's soft, or that's a Dunlop, but that's extra soft. That's as soft as they make.
Things beginning to change, especially the weather here. You know, we've seen some great racing today. The series needs your help in selecting the move of the race. So after the race, take the Paddock Pass poll on AmericanLeMans.com to vote for the turning point of today's race. We want to hear from you at AmericanLeMans.com. As the weather changes, pit stops are made. We will see those softer compounds. And will the order change? We won't know. You'll have to stick around and find out. Two hours and 40 minutes in the books of 4 hours from the Monterey Sports Car Championships. And it's Gilles de Ferran behind the wheel of his number 66. Simon Pagenaud took it from the pole and has led since then. Handed over to Gilles de Ferran, and on board the 9, David Brabham just on pit road, handing the driving chores over to Scott Sharp. This is going to be difficult for Scott. We heard him saying on the radio, telling him which gear they were in, Dorsey, because that sensor that they unplugged earlier is obviously taken off the reading there on the steering wheel, telling the driver what gear he's in.
Yeah, up on the dash there's an LED that tells you what gear you're currently in. You got 6 speeds in this car, and they can still see it on telemetry in the pit lane. So when it comes to a pit stop, the procedure is to come down the pit lane on your speed limiter and then get down in the first gear and shut the car off. You wouldn't know what gear you're in without them telling you that, and that's pretty pertinent to get restarted, because once these cars are stopped, whatever gear you're in is what gear you're stuck in. And we saw that earlier when we saw the number 6 with Greg Pickett go off with his Porsche Spider. It was stuck in a gear and he couldn't get it back into neutral to get running again.
Well, we also heard the crew telling Scott when he went out, the tire temperature is very cold. The track temperature is very cold. Just be careful. We did our computations earlier and looked at about 107 laps as being 70%. Based upon our calculations, we'll just have to see. If we don't have many more yellows, that number will go up. It's kind of a moving target. So we know that they're close to it, but they're still going to have to make sure that once the checkered flag falls, they are well within, or that they're within that 70% mark, and the championship will be theirs. But there's still a long way to go, and you certainly can't give up right now. Scott Sharp taking his time to get that Acura up to speed. Meanwhile, de Ferran on a tear. Adrian Fernandez is the one that I'm impressed with right now. He's the one that's beginning to pressure de Ferran.
There it is, Adrian Fernandez. He's going to try for the overall win. He said he would at the beginning of the story. And you see how hard he's driving right now. For Scott Sharp, of course, all he's going to do is run it to the finish. But this man is going to try for a win.
I spoke with Adrian Fernandez and Luis Diaz earlier in the weekend, and they said that they've really been studying the computer simulations for the race today. They are running the same car that they ran last year, but they didn't have all of the new little bits and pieces on it that the other LMP2 Acuras had. So it's really their first time at the track with this car in this particular configuration, and they were expecting to be just as competitive as the LMP1 cars, just because of the characteristics of this track. Because it is so tight, the more nimble LMP2 car is a little bit better under those conditions. But LMP1 championship, I'd say right now, and Justin Bell's down with David Brabham.
Thanks, Jamie. Well, that looks easy, DB.
Yeah, right, yeah. Oh, we try to make it difficult for ourselves out there, but yeah, I mean, the car's running fine at the moment. We're not in a position to challenge for the win, but you know, obviously championship is the most important for us, and you know, Scott's out there now doing a good job. We had a few scares with the traffic, with a few accidents around me. I think everyone had a bit of a heartbeat skip, but yeah, I mean, so far so good really for us.
So, for the viewer at home, explain what it's like. Even though you're running a little more conservatively, it doesn't make it easier, does it? Are you changing the fuel map and like just driving as hard as you can within a certain window?
Yeah, it's difficult because obviously we don't need to push, but as soon as you don't, the tires get cold, and then you're in big trouble because you don't have any grip. So it's a real mental game out there at the moment to keep pushing. You obviously got to be careful in the traffic, but you know, so far so good.
And 70% is coming up soon, and I'm sure the team know exactly what lap that is. Good luck, DB.
You heard David Brabham say, yeah, you've got to maintain that mental focus.
And we talked about it earlier. It's a rhythm thing. You know, if you slow up too much, you get off rhythm. Like you said, the tires get cold, particularly the fronts, which are the same size as the rears on this Acura. Then you get understeer. Then you make that slight little mistake, and you're out in the gravel trap. So, I mean, it's hard to keep that concentration. You got to run very close to a real competitive speed to make it all work.
Scott Sharp getting the car up to speed, getting the tire temperatures up. Right now in challenge, Bob Fayeda, he and his teammate Wes Hoagland, they are leading this event. And don't forget that the Snows, Martin and Melanie Snow, had to take that car behind the wall. If they were able to hold on and win this thing, 25 points on the line, bonus points, because this is a 4-hour event, not the typical 2:45. We could see what we didn't think we would see, and that is a different champion other than Martin and Melanie Snow that we had almost handed it to.
Well, sadly, when the Snows went behind the wall, we said if they could get back out, but the problem is they didn't come back out. And if they haven't made it by now, I don't think they will. Oh, problem with the Ford GT. That is exactly what we talked about, Brian, in the corkscrew. I am assuming that he got too fast at the top of it. That's David Robertson driving the car, and you could see how it had smashed into the asphalt as it came to the rest at the bottom with a spin. No contact, I don't believe, with any other car. I don't see any damage.
It's David Robertson behind the wheel. The other thing that's changing right now is visibility, Dorsey. Not because it's getting so foggy you can't see, but you know, you're in that car. If you've got a dark visor on, yeah, he's already off.
Yeah, he's off at the top. And watch here as it comes back on. It's going to crash the front of the car.
Yeah.
Oh, he almost brought it grinding stop to it, and he's at a bad angle for all these other guys.
Almost better to have gone on the other side of the curbing a little bit further down the hill, but he's back up to speed. You see the problem with the splitter.
Yeah, he's busted the splitter on the nose, and it's going to start flopping up and down, and I'm sure they're going to have to bring it in to fix that. The harmonics off of that is just enough to knock your teeth out.
Looking back to GT2. A little bit further up, I should say, actually, the 21 and the 18. We've talked about what a good run the Panos BTG team is having today. Ian James behind the wheel of the red and black number 21, the Panos Esperante GT LM. Giving chase right now to the 18. Richard Westbrook behind the wheel of the BC Racing Porsche right there in front as they head up the hill into the corkscrew.
They were hoping for was that this fog would roll in. At about this point in the race, they know that the Panos and those Yokohama tires work very well when the track conditions, when the track temperature rather drops slightly. So what they're hoping for is that this cooler air is going to move in, and they're going to have that little bit of extra push on both their tires and the car in order to finish on the podium today.
This cool air will help that V8 behind that plane, or the power plant in there will be making some good horsepower. And if they're on a setup that is good for low grip, cool weather, it's going to be very good for them right now.
Saw the 18 throw some rubber up. You see the marbles to the outside. We talked about a little bit of a tire war, especially in GT2. I think you're seeing the results of it. In fact, Gilles de Ferran continues to lead. Adrian Fernandez, we talked about it earlier. Could they make it 8 wins in the season? That would tie the record in the P2 category. The crews look on. We still have plenty of time left from Mazda Raceway. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by the million-mile tested, million-mile proven Mazda 6. Headlights starting to show on some of the cars here at the Monterey Sports Car Championships. That's because the fog is beginning to roll in, and I'm telling you, the light really beginning to fade here as you watch John Field in the Intersport Racing number 37 back on track. Remember, the 100th start for this team in American Le Mans Series competition, and that is not a small feat.
No, that's a great deal. John just taking over from Clint, had a good stint. He's on sticker tires. It'll take a little while to warm them up.
But it won't take him any time to still go as fast as he possibly can.
No, he'll go as fast as you can right now. There's no question about that. I tell you what, we got a race developing between Adrian Fernandez, Gilles de Ferran. Adrian just ran a lap of 16 flat, 116 flat. De Ferran's running 117.80, and they're only 4.8 seconds apart. So I think you're going to see a fight coming up here.
In the last 10 laps, it's gone from about a 20-second gap. We talked about it before the last break. It was about a 12-second gap. It's now a 5-second gap. So Fernandez on a charge. Remember, yeah, they want the record. You see him just come into the shot there through turn 11. They want to tie the record of 8 wins for a P2 car in a season. But more importantly, if this is going to be their last race, not only do they want to win the class, They want to win overall. They ran so well here until a power steering problem last year. They want to make amends. They want to show what they can do.
You know that 5-second gap? Let's make it 3. He just took off 2 seconds. DeFerrin at 1:17.0. Adrian Fernandez at 1:15.20. And there's only a 3-second gap, and they can see each other. That's magic, as you know, Brian. When you're running somebody down, when you can see them, you can really start getting after it.
Yeah, chasing is one thing, but once you see that prey, why do you think they keep that little rabbit at the dog track so close?
You smell blood now. I tell you, Adrian Fernandez was really quick in practice and qualifying, or actually it was Diaz that qualified, but he's been really fast. On top of the charts more than once this weekend.
I think the other thing that's important as this race wears on and we're almost to the 3-hour mark, we're beginning to lose cars. As those cars begin to drop out, the racetrack becomes clearer and you don't have to worry about the traffic quite as much. There's still plenty out there to deal with, but as you can see right now, Fernandez, as he comes down through 9 and 10, he's running well. You talk about running well. What about this car, the 12 car? Tony Burgess behind the wheel right now. We talked about Chris McMurray earlier. Tony Burgess behind the wheel from Canada. This car running 4th overall, 3rd in class when they came to pit road. What a great performance they're having this weekend, Justin.
It really has been spectacular. A little under the radar, though, don't you think? And right now, their consistency and their steady pace is showing well. They're just doing a fuel now. They're not changing tires. Drivers staying in. And actually, a very distinctive car out on the racetrack. This silver with the orange and white. So, you know, it's a proof that as the season gets on, people get more consistent. And they start getting, they can't start it up. So everything I was saying might go out the window there. They're having a problem starting it. Driver is pushing on every button he's got.
Change starters, change starters.
Swift action there. You heard the pit guy saying change starters. A lot of, okay, he's started, lights are on, off he goes.
Go, all the way out.
So everything I just said, gentlemen, was true until I said it.
Well, that was
so you can always trust an Englishman.
That was a really good thing you heard right there. You know, car wouldn't start, they said change starters. Now, that doesn't mean the mechanics are going to go back there and unbolt the starter and put one on. These cars are equipped with dual starters, so if one should lay down, you have to shut the engine off every time you come into a pit stop and restart under its own power. It was dual starters, so that was a good call for these guys.
Well, and a lot of talent behind the wheel. Chris McMurray has 6 wins in LMP2 and 675. He knows how to get the job done. He's won at Sebring in LMP2. You see the 18 on pit road as well. Remember, he was running in the top 3 in the GT2 category. Tony Burgess in the 12, who's behind the wheel, finished 3rd at the 2000 Le Mans 24. So there's some talent behind the wheel there and smart guys as well. The battle that was on the track in GT2 came to pit road. And it looks like the 21 got the better of the 18. And you see what cold tires will do on your way out of the pits.
Yeah, and it might not be over with yet. He's still on cold tires. That is a new pit out right there. And you can see he tried to make that corner. And with the front tires totally cold, the car just understeered right off into the gravel. Look, it's doing it right here again. It's so hard to get these tires up to temp. It's cold outside right now, too, Brian. I can tell you that. I can see the fog out there, and we're going to hear from Justin.
Yeah, he'll be complaining here shortly because he has a cold.
What do you mean complaining?
Yeah, there you go.
Remember, I've got an on button. And yes, it is cold, and the teams are starting to wrap up pretty warm as well.
Hey, Justin, have you seen a thermometer? Has it gotten down into the 50s yet?
I will get that information to you.
Because that is cold. Look, he looks chilled right now. Just don't show his feet because the shoes that he's wearing in pit lane today.
He busted, brother.
Are really not the best. There they are.
It's not like Jamie. You know, Jamie's got the real shoes for the job.
You know what? There's such a great car race going on, and you're talking about my shoes. So depressed. Next year I'll have pink ones just to prove a point. I'm standing here by Lowe's Fernandez. They're all ready, and they're ready for the pit stop to come in. It's a good indication, guys, of what's actually happens, which we don't get to see when we're watching at home. They're on deck, ready for the car to come in. And you were mentioning it earlier, Dulcie. They're pushing so hard for an overall win here, and they are. But I don't think DeFerrin's going to hand it to them that easy. It's his last race, isn't it?
Well, the temperatures are coming down. It's a very good point. You know, Gilles DeFerrin wants to go out not only winning the class, but winning overall. Adrian Fernandez wants it as well. The temperatures are coming down. The competition is heating up. The Monterey Sports Car Classic from Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. Still over an hour to go. We'll be right back. Make sure you join us.
You're watching the American Le Mans Series on Speed.
Gilles de Ferran behind the wheel of the 66, his last professional motor race to pit lane. Justin.
It's just fuel going in at the moment. They're inspecting the rear of the car and wondering if that's perhaps why they called him in. I mean, Gilles did question them, didn't he? He said, why? Why? Twice. I mean, I know he's Brazilian, but he understands pit. So they have got fuel going in. They seem satisfied with what they were checking on. And I'm sure they'll head back out in a second.
Now remember, this car designed with all 4 tires the exact same size. One of the things that they said at Sebring is a little stall on the way out. One of the things they said, Dorsey, was we may be able to double, triple, even quadruple stint tires from time to time. We've got 60-ish degree weather outside, heading to the 50s, a racetrack with not a lot of grip. I think his tires would be good to go.
I think they will be good to go, but you know, right behind him is where Los Fernandez pit is, and those guys, as we saw before, are up on top of the wall. So I'm thinking Adrian's going to come in and not take tires as well. I mean, this set precedent. The race is on right now between these guys,
and the race is now on pit road.
Yeah,
right
this
here.
is the race right now.
Remember, de Ferran with the little stall after the pit stop. How much time did that take? Fernandez has been closing in on him. He runs down pit road, and Justin will be there as well as Adrian Fernandez pulls in for perhaps his final time in sports car racing.
It certainly is, and they are. Dorsey, you're spot on again, just like me. They're going to do a tire change. So they are doing a tire change, but they are keeping the driver in. So the driver's part of the changing conditions. It would be very hard right now if you put Luis back in the car and did a tire change with the temperatures lower. But they've got fuel going into the car. Look into Adrian's eyes. He's really very composed. Remember, team owner driver is surveying not just the task in hand, but how his team performs as well. And Adrian has proved to us that he's a master of both. So new tires going on. You can bet your bottom dollar those are soft compound. And out they go. All 4 tires. Great drive. Great pit stop.
Unfortunately, Gilles de Ferran just went by as he was leaving pit lane, and that will put that car a lap down.
Now they'll end up staying on the same lap, Dorsey, but if they'd gotten it done just a little bit quicker, the competition would have been a little bit better. Remember, de Ferran has warm tires on that P1 Acura. They did not change. It's going to take a little while for the tires to come up to temperature and up to pressure for Adrian Fernandez.
But luckily, that car does have tire temperature come in faster than it would on the P1 car.
That's a really good point as well. Those 4 same-size tires seem to take several laps longer, and we keep talking about the lack of mechanical grip on this racetrack, so perhaps Fernandez can get it up to speed. The other thing is, what does he have left in the bank? Did they run it up to just under an hour to go? Can Fernandez run full rich the whole time? And if that's the question, what about the 66? Can they run full rich?
Well, the P2 car can usually go an hour 5, so he would be all right.
He should be good.
You know, he should be good. On the P1 car usually goes 55. Well, guess what? That's pretty close.
Very close indeed. So we'll have to see if de Ferran will have to back off that fuel mixture. Can a P2 car win overall? It's been a while since we've seen that. But right now, I tell you, all weekend long, the Los Fernandez team has been so strong, it wouldn't surprise me if they could get it done.
Here's the second part of the equation, Brian. For Gilles de Ferran, his final race, all he's got to do is finish. He's got it won. He's going to win P1. He's going to win his final race. Or he could choose to try to win overall and fight with this guy.
Oh, come on.
You know, and Fernandez has already won his championship. It's won. He has nothing to lose. He wants the overall win. What would you do?
Well, I mean, I think Gilles de Ferran is going to be, he already knows that the 9 car is completed 70%. You got to believe that we're at 3 hours into this thing. I'm sure we're at 70%. So the championship more than likely has gone to Highcroft. He has nothing to lose either. Neither does Fernandez. That sets us up for a great finish here.
Well, they just called Adrian on the radio while you were telling me that, and they said it is okay. We just did computation. It's okay to go to fuel map 1. Hammer down.
It's on.
It's on. He's got all the fuel and all the horsepower that car can make, and they've already said it will make it to the finish.
Tires are still coming up.
Telemetry helping the crew say the tires are still coming up to temperature and pressure.
That is a great thing to know as a driver, because I mean, you can feel the grip coming up, but you don't know that it's all the way there yet. The telemetry from the car back to the pits is telling the pits it's not.
He was saving fuel.
Wow, did you hear that?
Let me ask you this: if you're de Ferran, if you're that team, just you let the 48 go by. If you're de Ferran, do you run it full rich and get a gap and splash at the end, perhaps, or do you try to save the fuel? Because, as you and I both said, I think it's going to be a stretch for the 66 to get there.
You know, with 55 minutes left in this deal, a caution could happen. So they might run it, Rich, right now, try to get a gap. But remember, the two cars are similar in lap time, so I don't think you're going to get much.
That's a very good point. DeFerrin working his way through the challenge class cars into turn 5, that left-hander that takes you up the hill, and this is where the climb really starts.
I don't think DeFerrin's car can make it, Brian. I really don't think that car in P1 can run that far on full rich now. You know, on full speed. I don't think he'll be able to make it to the finish without maybe a 5 or 10 minute to the end splash.
And how long does it take to run down pit road and make the splash? Well, how close can Adrian Fernandez be and still take the lead at the end if DeFerrin indeed does have to make that splash? As we said, as we came into this event, 9 races down, 1 to go, but it has not dampened the competitive nature of any of these teams, and the strategy always a part of it. You see the beautiful cars on Racetrack. Well, you can be a part of the American Le Mans Series too by buying some American Le Mans Series merchandise. AmericanLeMans.com features a new fan-friendly merchandising website with all of your series favorite offerings. The holidays are approaching, and the new Series 2009 yearbook will be out soon, so go to AmericanLeMans.com for more information. Take a quick break from Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, and you look at those 2 drivers up front. It's going to be a battle to the very end. Race fans can get the latest racing news, commentary, and exclusive analysis from SpeedTV.com personalities and industry experts like Timo Bernhard, Darren Law, Romain Dumas, Andy Wallace, and more. So log on to SpeedTV.com. Auto racing today. And a pit stop for the number 3. Just moments ago, the 45 had been to pit road. Now the Corvette, Jamie.
The Corvette's on pit road, and the crew just went to shut the driver door. And it did not get shut all the way, so they just reshut that. They did a standard pit stop, fuel, 4 new tires. They have to make it back out of pit lane, and I said this before, they had trouble getting that car refired on the last stop, and now they're still having a problem with the door, so they lost a lot of valuable time in pit lane.
Looked like they had trouble with the window net on the door getting lodged in at the top where it closes.
Just went by the start-finish line.
Just letting him know where the 45, the Flying Lizard, you heard Dan Bing say he just went by the start-finish line. Still waiting to see that 3 car. That run down pit lane at the speed limit is painfully long.
Oh, it's very, very long when you got a guy coming up the front straightaway at 150 miles an hour. For sure, there is the 45 car, which also, we should say, made its pit stop just a moment ago, and it was a good one, too, Brian.
Jörg Bergmeister behind the wheel, taking over from Patrick Long. We talked about the fact that this would be Jörg's 4th championship, the 2nd championship for Patrick Long. Good friends, and it's a shame they couldn't have shared the championship together, the 2nd one that Jörg had. But we talked about Patrick being drafted to Penske Racing to do a little time in the Porsche RS Spyder, and I don't think you tell Mr. Penske no when he gives you an opportunity.
I don't think you should do that. It'll never happen more than once.
No, you have one opportunity to do it. Now, the Farnbacher Lowell's Porsche, who was your leader in GT2.
They're right there, fuel and tires. We'll watch how this goes.
You heard Peter Goebel, who calls the shots there on the team. Very distinctive German accent.
Seconds of fuel and on time. I'll give you the signal.
Time, fuel, stop.
Tires are being set out. It'll be interesting to see, will they change all 4 or just the rear tires? Usually on the Porsche, it's the rears. But the big question is, are they going to change tires because of wear or because of changing the compound to have a better tire to do battle with? You see the 45 flash by, while the 87 still sitting on pit road.
And let's see if the 3 gets by too. There it is, the 87. This is a time fuel stop. They can't put the tires on until he's done. Now watch, let's see what they do. 3's going to get by.
So first place is gone as far as Jörg Bergmeister. Now Jan Magnussen in the 3 flashes by as well. It will be right side tires at least. I didn't see left side tires go on.
I didn't either. I think they took 2 and they took them on the right side. That is strange for Porsche. Like you said, they normally go with rear.
I got 4 tires, or how many? Yeah, you got 4 tires.
Well, we were wrong.
Peter told him 4 tires.
And
we'll have to find out if he lied to him or not.
I think Jörg was surprised how fast that stop was. He said, did I get 2 or 4?
Scrub tires on you.
Here, Wolf asking.
They're scrubbed.
Ah.
Okay,
asking stickers. Yeah. He said, no, they're scrubbed. So scrub tires for Wolf Hensler as he heads back out. 3 hours and 15 minutes. Just about gone in this event. Just a little over 3:13 heading that way. As you see Scott Sharp head up the hill, 128 laps in the book. Based upon the math that we had done, we're past the 70% mark. And when you look down at pit lane, I think their math works as well. David Brabham, Duncan Dayton now celebrating on pit road, celebrating the championship. And this is great stuff. For Duncan Dayton, the first championship in American Le Mans Series competition in their P1 program. For David Brabham, his first American Le Mans Series championship. That makes Patron Highcroft Racing only the third American team to win a P1 championship. And it makes Scott Sharp only the second American driver to have won a P1 championship. Justin, you're not drinking champagne or Patron down there yet, are you?
It wouldn't be champagne, would it, Brian? Brilliant, Duncan. That's fantastic. I mean, what a vindication of an incredible team you put together. And the race isn't even over yet.
No, I know. We're trying to be careful that we pay attention to what's going on. Obviously, we're all ecstatic with the P1 championship. Real tribute to the team. It's been a real honor to work with these guys. I think they're the best in the business, and we showed it last weekend at Petit. This team just never gave up, and we keep digging, and we're still digging here tonight, and maybe we catch a break and go up a step or two.
Let's go back a week or two. Did you ever think it was like a lost cause at that point? I mean, with that accident was enough to send most people back to the 2 o'clock in the morning, just sitting there going, what on earth has happened?
Well, the championship certainly didn't give itself up easily, I'll say that. But it's a testament to this team that we just didn't give up and kept digging, and so there have been some dark days, but it's a race right here, right now.
And you've got to say something for the opposition. It's been a battle all year.
Yeah, I can't say enough about Gilles' team and obviously Robert and all the guys over there. It's been a real collaborative effort all year. It's been a hell of a title fight. I feel like I've been in a 15-round knockout boxing match, and it's gone back and forth, but the entire time it's been great camaraderie, great sportsmanship. We've helped each other out. They've helped us. We've helped them. We've had communal spares and shared setup information and all that sort of stuff. So it's been trying to push the ACCA program forward. But once we get on the track, you fight hammer and tongue.
Well, before you get into the final stages of this race, your plans for next year. I mean, Scott made a big announcement this morning with Ed Brown on the Ferrari program. Does that affect his status as a driver, or is he still with you and wants to score?
Yeah, no, he's still with us, and I think you'll see probably more of the same from us. We're committed to racing prototypes in the ALMS for sure. That's where our bread and butter is, and so we want to try to defend this championship. And it's a great move for Scott. I mean, he's great pals with Ed Brown. It's sort of a natural evolution for him to get a team set up and work into a team owner's role, and he'll still be driving and trying to do both for a while, and then see what happens from there. But we're thrilled that Ed's going to be joining the LMS, and to have another Ferrari competitor on track is going to be super.
Well, I know what's going to happen. There's a race between us announcers to who can get to your hospitality first after the checkered flag. Brilliant, Duncan. Good luck.
When Justin is on pole position down there to get to the tent first, I think the other dark days that Duncan didn't mention, his entire crew had the flu as they came here. So they have worked under trying conditions, not only at Petit Le Mans, but here at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca as well. What a season it has been for the Patron Highcroft team. It culminates in a championship, and it came down to the bitter end. Race continues from Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. This battle is for the lead in the ALMS Challenge class for the victory, but it actually goes deeper than that. You're looking at Guy Cosmo, who was leading when he came to pit road. This will be his final stop. He was leading. He's dropped to second at this point, but really the competition is looking at the 36 and the 57. Martin and Melanie Snow, I guarantee you, are down there watching Guy Cosmo saying, go, Guy, go, because here's the deal. Bob Falleda and Wes Hoagland, who are in second in the championship for the Drivers' Championship in the ALMS Challenge class, if they held down the point, if they won this race and the Snows dropped out, which they have, Hoagland and Falleda would take the championship. But right now, they have dropped to third after leading earlier. Cosmo is now in front of them. Mitch Pagery in front as well. And so perhaps the Snows have gotten a reprieve.
Well, Falleda and Hoagland, if they should win, would win by 1 point. If they finish second, they lose, and they're currently running third, which puts them way down the way. So for Melanie Snow, I mean, she was very distraught when the car broke on her, but it's not over yet. They can win this championship still.
Absolutely. 37.5 minutes left to go. Anything can happen. So Bob Falleda, as talented as he is, certainly isn't going to give up. He and Hoagland have won this year at Lime Rock. and the rest 4 other third-place finishes, so they know how to get the job done.
Got Sharp getting hounded right now by the 48 car.
Stefan Johansson, and remember, we heard on the radio earlier they were going to disconnect the power steering in the 48.
Right, I'm not sure that ever happened, though.
If it did, Johansson won't be able to drink a glass of water afterwards if that's the case. This is not for position.
No, it's not for position. And I heard also in the meantime that Brad was going to bring in, David Brad was bringing the 9 car on pit lane here for the final time.
Scott Sharp to the pit entry. I was going to say David Braben's making calls now from the pit box.
I heard him.
You're in first. You are in first. That is first gear. Just bring it in. Put it right on the mark. Put it right on the mark, Scott.
Once again, the crew having to tell him what gear he's in because he doesn't have that readout on the dash that is part of the steering wheel anymore. These cars so electronic. You heard him say tires and fuel, and why wouldn't you?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Right.
Justin?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? I mean, it looks like they're putting on scrubbed. Well, I mean, it looks like they're actually, sorry, I repeat that. They look like new slicks all the way around. Obviously, the softer compound. Very unusual to see a driver get a high five in the middle of a race, but they just high five Scott before he goes out. I think Scott is in a very difficult position because obviously they can't affect the championship, but you can easily sort of put the car off the road and hurt yourself or someone else. The smoke, well, they were looking at it. It didn't appear much. It just obviously appears like something coming back up through the braking. That's for the air intake for the rear brakes. So that's all it is. The temperatures are crazy. The AP guy here, so you know, 430 degrees on the gun here. Whoa! That would even allow you to barbecue your food a bit quicker, of course. And out goes Scott Sharp for what has to be hopefully their last pit stop of 2009.
Ryan, what that smoke was, you see this big scoop right here? That is the scoop that brings in the air that cools that brake duct. It brought in more than air. It brought in some spent rubber, which got down there on the rotor and caliper and was about to catch fire. I was afraid of it.
Had he not pulled away. We talked about kind of the little tire war in GT2, and we saw a lot of rubber on the road, so not at all uncommon. You see it there just offline, but remember, when you get in the thick of the battle and you're going in and out of traffic, you are offline. You're anywhere you can be to get around these cars, and right now the tire's so cold on that Acura, it's going to take Scott Sharp probably 3 to 5 laps, I'd say, to get the tires and pressures.
But he's not in any hurry. They've won the championship, and they're just going to be where they are. I mean, what happened was he pulled into the pits when he came offline, and there goes the lead car right now. Gilles Defere passing and going up the hill in 66. Acura.
Which means the next car back, there it was, the 15. Adrian Fernandez just 3.7 seconds behind Gilles Defere and at the line the last time by. So that's a battle that we need to continue to watch. You ride on board with Fernandez right now as they head up towards the corkscrew.
This will be for the overall lead. That right there could be a big factor for him.
That's the 9 of Scott Sharp. Remember, the tire's still cold, so he needs to navigate around Sharp because Scott certainly isn't going to have the grip. Fernandez clears him back on the racing line. The next car in the order is Gilles Defere.
Now, like I said before, you're Gilles Defere, and you've got the race won. It's your final race of your career. And here comes a man who's already won the championship with nothing to lose that wants to win overall. Are you fighting for it?
You don't think Gilles Defere wants to win overall?
No, I'm not saying that. I mean, in either case.
But I think the question may be how much fuel is in the tank of that 66.
That is a good question, too, because we talked about the fact that with 5 minutes to go or so, we thought the 66 might need to come in and get a splash without a green, without a yellow. There's been no yellow. And we know for sure Adrian's been told, run on map 1, make the most horsepower you can. You're good to go, buddy.
And think about Adrian Fernandez. With all the years that he has run here, he has never won. Now, Luis Diaz, his co-driver, has won. He won an Atlantic race here, and he, too, Laguna Seca was his first professional racing venue in the United States. So for this team, a win here for Fernandez would be special because he would finally find the victory. See, tires being dropped there, at least tires. It was the 40 with a problem there. But it would be a special win for that team, especially considering the fact that they have nothing to do in 2010 right now. Flashing down, there is Defere as he comes through turn 11, and there's Fernandez.
And look at that. This is where it gets magic. These guys are going to really put on a show now. We got 32 minutes to go, and the race is full on.
That's tip up ahead of you.
And you've got traffic, and at least 2 more GT2 cars right here in turn 2. That is going to at least impede DeFerrin's ability to accelerate. Now he gets hung up there at the entry to turn 3 as well.
Now remember, in qualifying, 92 1,000ths of 1 second split these cars. So watch this. It's going to be fireworks.
Now, it is getting dark here on the Monterey Bay Peninsula, but that is not because it doesn't look that dark outside because the sun is set. That's how much fog is out there right now.
Well, the bay not far from here. Of course, that fog rolls in every night. It gets thick as soup in here, which concerns me about having to live one in there.
Now, there you go. More Dorsey travel stories as they flash through turn 6, the little kink there, turn 7 into the braking zone for the corkscrew, and you see more traffic in front, and perhaps DeFerrin has more of a challenge than Fernandez does. He's the first car to reach those GT2 cars. He's got to work his way through. At least they're paying a little more attention to the mirrors when Fernandez gets there. So the battle for the overall lead beginning to heat up. Just 2.2 seconds at the line the last time by. Championships decided in GT2 and P1 already. What about the bragging rights? They are still to come from here at the Monterey Sports Car Championships. Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. David Brabham, he'll have a celebration this evening, that's for certain. All race long, Adrian Fernandez, we talked about it. Does he have a car to win overall? And the pressure now squarely on Gilles DeFerrin's shoulders as they flash into the corkscrew. Down through 9, the right-hander, turn 10.
Adrian's faster has been catching him like crazy, but can he get by? That's the question. And where? Remember, the 66 car has better straightaway speed.
Into turn 11, slowest corner on the racetrack. Fernandez, nothing doing there, doesn't take a look, but this is what we're talking about. Watch the 66 pull away. Remember the competition adjustments in P2 this year. Another 110 pounds put on the car, a 10% smaller restrictor, 5mm more minimum rear gurney, so he's got more downforce, less horsepower, and more weight, and you watch that P1 car accelerate away off the corners. Got to be frustrating for Fernandez.
Well, for Adrian, he's going to have to pass right in this area of the racetrack early and gain a big gap before we get to the straightaway so the 66 can't just drive away and out-muscle him. Now, traffic up ahead, that could play into this.
Well, the question is, Fernandez may be able to turn a faster lap, but can he actually get by Gilles DeFerrin? Once again, the horsepower advantage clearly to the P1 car, working through ALMS challenge traffic through turn 6.
Braking and corner speed, though, goes to Fernandez, so it depends on where they catch traffic and how the race plays out.
And where he can get alongside of it.
Well, he's got to do it early in the lap, because if it happens anywhere else, he's just going to get out and muscle.
Once again, through the corkscrew. And this is where the P2 car really seems to show its stuff, Dorsey. These high-speed corners, hangs with DeFerrin well, and looks to the inside, under braking into turn 11, it takes the lead.
Yeah, but watch this. So here's the straightaway I talked about before. Watch.
Down the front straightaway.
Use that button. Use that button. Stay ahead of him. Use the button.
What button? These guys don't got pushed to pass.
And DeFerrin back up the inside, another braking duel into turn 1.
Wait.
Now, I'm not sure what button they're talking about. Could just dump a little extra fuel in for more horsepower. No, there is no push to pass per se.
Well, they got some button.
Does it richen it up a little bit? But whatever it does, either Fernandez didn't use it or it doesn't work.
I want to find out about this.
On board right now. Look at what a move by Fernandez.
Classic out brake maneuver. I mean, just slammed it right in there.
I've got it. Things are good. And then we're going to get halfway up the straightaway as it heads up the hill. Watch the crew. Tom Anderson there in the middle. Saw Luis Diaz back behind. There was the DeFerrin crew.
Championships are over, Brian. This is for the win.
It.
Last time of the year. We don't need these cars anymore. Let's go.
Down the front straightaway through turn 2 one more time. Traffic in front. That is Gilles DeFerrin in the 66. And like we said earlier, for all intents and purposes, both of these guys on their last drive. Adrian Fernandez has said emphatically, I'm not retiring, but I don't have anything to do next year. So, I mean, we don't know if perhaps we'll see Adrian Fernandez again. He and Tom Anderson have said if we can find a program, we'll run it. But right now, they are empty-handed. We know that Gilles DeFerrin is going to retire, and we also know there's a prototype in front that is holding him up right now, and DeFerrin trying to take advantage and get by the prototype. And Fernandez going, give me a spot somewhere. That is the 12. Tony Burgess behind the wheel, running 4th overall right now. does a great job, pulls over and lets him go.
Yeah, it's a great job. There's one card in this hand not been played yet. That's fuel mileage. Now, for Adrian Fernandez to push Gil this hard, Gil cannot be conserving fuel. He can't turn the map down to something else. I don't think he's got enough fuel to make it, Brian. I'm not sure.
21 minutes to go here. The final round. The championships are decided. Remember, Fernandez and Diaz clinched their championship back at Mosport, the Drivers' Championship. Interesting stuff, though, this year. Acura will claim the Chassis Manufacturers Championship and the Engine Manufacturers Championship in P1 and in P2. Shows the strength of Acura in 2009. So those championships decided as well. And right now, two Acuras battling for the overall lead, P1 and P2.
You look at overall qualifying here, first and second in P1 and first in P2. All Acuras split in 92 thousandths of 1 second. Now, how good is that?
Well, and we were talking about it earlier. This race may be won on pit lane. Remember how good Tom Anderson and his crew is with the strategy, with the fuel mileage. We've seen it play out earlier this year. Will we see it play out today?
Brian, down here, obviously, with Fernandez and DeFerrin pits right next to each other, neither of them are telling me what actually their fuel strategy opportunity is. I've tried to look on the data, but they turned that screen away from me. So your resident nonplussed Englishman is still nonplussed. But let's face it, both these guys are in their last race. Both want the win. For DeFerrin, I mean, what's the downside for pushing right up until the end? If he comes in for gas, he's lost it anyway. So I think, Dorsey, that this is just a race as hard as he can. He can't second-guess Fernandez, but he's just going to push as hard as he can to the finish. He wants his win. Fernandez wants his win. We are very lucky to be watching this.
I like the way you're thinking about that, too. If it was my last race in my career and I'm winning the race and I might not make it by a lap, would I come in? And no. I'm going to run this thing until there's not a wheel left on it.
I think that's what we're going to see. Nobody's going to give up anything. Look, championships are decided. There's nothing to lose.
You know, yesterday when Gil DeFerrin wasn't under this same amount of pressure, he said to me, it doesn't matter if you're driving for $10 or $10 million, you go into every race with the same strategy, and that's making it to the checkered flag. So I don't see why I would do anything bold just in order to claim that win. But now in this situation, now that that win is right there in front of him, I have to think that he's thinking a little bit differently.
Even Jamie doesn't believe it.
I just heard something over the radio. Now, this is very interesting, talking about that button. It was the Fernandez, and they said in 5 minutes, Adrian, we're going to turn you loose. So is map 1 not the most they've got? They must have a little bit left somewhere.
There's a go fast map.
There's a go fast. There's a button.
There's a go faster map.
I want that button. Where's that button?
Well, and once again, it may not be required. It'll be interesting to see. DeFerrin will have to run over an hour on fuel. We know that the P2 car can run about an hour and 5 minutes.
In about 3 laps time, we can start turning up the fuel, okay? Okay.
3 laps time.
We'll give you a number then.
Well, okay, there you have it. That was talking to Adrian, saying in 3 laps we can turn up the fuel. In other words, we can make more power. So they're not on their most powerful setting yet.
That is not good news for Gil DeFerrin, but even so, the pass has to be done under braking, and it needs to be done in a place that DeFerrin can't come back on him with the extra horsepower. It'll give him a little more horsepower in the 15, a little more top speed, but it really seems that the halfway mark down the front straightaway is where the P1 car really excels.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And these percentages of different fuel maps are not that much. You might be talking about 2 to 5% total change in the engine.
And Gil DeFerrin has won at this racetrack before. Remember, his first IndyCar victory came here with Jim Hall. That was emotional. If he could win today, we know it would be emotional. Think about this. His last drive, this was Mid-Ohio, a racetrack where he had never won. And remember, he had just announced before this race his retirement. He and Simon Pagenaud took the victory, and the emotion is evident. Imagine what the emotion will be like at the drop of the checkered flag today.
It's not easy to walk away from a career that's been so stellar. I can tell you, it's pretty hard.
Keep working on that fuel-saving press into the fast corners. Keep working on that fuel-saving when you get a little lead on him. About 14 to go, mate.
You just heard him. That was Gil DeFerrin's crew say work on fuel saving, but we got from Hernandez with we're going to turn you loose.
Right. Yeah. One of them's holding back. The other one's about to give permission to attack.
Well, the battle continues. We said it would up to the very end. The checkered flag. You wouldn't expect anything else from American Le Mans Series competition. Gil DeFerrin trying to end it all. His career in spectacular fashion. 2009, a glory year for DeFerrin and his team. Stick around. It's not over. know you dream about speed, so we're introducing Speed Dream Ride. You'll see new shows, old favorites, and have the chance to win a VIP experience at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, where the winners will ride the vehicles of their dreams. The Speed Dream Ride coming soon, presented by Castrol Edge. Find out more at speeddreamride.com. 2 dream rides right here, Doris.
Got that part right. Either one of them would be good. Although I tell you, right now, the car you're riding on board with, Adrian Fernandez, is the faster of the 2.
Now, low light. The fog has come in, and it is darker than you see on our exterior camera shots because the iris of those cameras open up a little bit. But reference marks beginning to be difficult to see, I would think, Dorsey.
Yeah, but I think they've gone enough laps now. They've got a good sense of rhythm around the place. They're both giving full commitment levels right now, 100%.
Fernandez gets held up a little bit there by the GT2 Corvette. They're back on it as he heads up the hill, but not with the preferred line through turn 6, so that'll drop it back a little bit. Just 0.4 of a second split the 2 at the line the last time. That was your GT2 second place car, Jan Magnussen.
Fernandez's car doesn't recover its speed as quickly either as the 66 P1 car.
Yeah, but the traffic works both ways, and right now De Ferran gets caught in it as well as. And now Fernandez got caught, and that's the GT2 leader, I believe, the 45 Flying Lizard Porsche.
Who did it?
Is there some? Was there fluid down?
I don't know. Or just offline? Is that pickup?
It almost looked like I saw something come off of the tires from both the Porsche and from Fernandez as they came out of turn 11. We talk about reference marks being hard to see, but if there's debris on the racetrack.
Well, the 45 just locked up. He's not racing either of these cars for position, but.
Oh, you don't want fluid down on a track when the light beginning to fade.
No, right behind. Let's take a look at that again because that was very strange.
Brake rotors beginning to glow. Let's take a look.
This is in the brake zone, of course, for the hairpin.
Clear of the 45, no problem on the line where he wants to be, and then it just.
No, he definitely got into something slippery. Both cars.
Maybe that's just dust over there off the 45, but it almost looked like Adrian had to touch the brakes again.
Oh, and there's why the 45's running so hard, because the 3 cars right there, the Corvette's right behind him for the class win or lead.
Yeah, that's the battle in GT2. Jörg Bergmeister has it right now in the 45, then Jan Magnussen in the Corvette behind him, but this has been the battle that's been so intriguing. 2.7 seconds at the line the last time by. It'll probably be even more than that because Fernandez has lost some momentum. The good thing for him, Gilles de Ferran caught in traffic a bit while they have that battle for the overall win, and Fernandez beginning to close back up. We talked about the battle for the lead in GT2. That is the 45 and the 3, and it doesn't get much closer than that. That's what it looked like for the overall lead moments ago, and right now Patrick Long has his rearview mirror is full of Jan Magnussen in that number 3 Corvette.
Actually, Jörg Bergmeister right now, and he does indeed have a bunch of Corvette right in the rearview mirror there. They're both these cars. That's why they're driving so hard. They're really running down. This is for their class win.
And it seems like, oddly enough, that the Corvette better through the tight stuff. Although, once again, they have talked about the mechanical grip of the Corvette and how well it puts the power down. You got to think grip right now at a minimum.
Danny Binks tells me this is the best car they have ever built. I mean, as far as its handling characteristics and its front to rear ratios, because it's just spot on the money. A really good car.
Start flashing them.
Start flashing him. That would be the headlights.
That was Danny Binks. Start flashing like, hey, you're holding me up. That's just something to aggravate Mr. Bergmeister.
Jörg Bergmeister has 3 American Le Mans Series GT2 championships. I don't think flashing headlights are going to be.
You won't bother him much.
Okay, but it's worth a shot. Out of the corkscrew through turn 9. Big compression there at the apex.
Of course, if he started pumping his brakes, that might upset him.
Turn 10, and as we come onto the front straightaway, this is where the Porsche seems to pull a little bit. Now, the box on the left, that is the battle for the overall win. We've got 2 great battles going on the racetrack right now, both for the win. GT2 on the right, overall on the left. P1.
Mixture 1 and go for it.
Oh.
Mixture 1 and go for it. There you have it.
That's Adrian Fernandez getting the call. Let's go. Put it on full horsepower and go for it. Now let's see what he can do.
Ferran just a little bit loose off of turn 5 as they head up the hill, working some GT traffic right now.
That'll hurt him a little bit. Ferran's been told to coast in the corners, roll off the throttle, get fuel mileage. We need mileage. You know, Adrian doesn't have to worry about it. He just go running down and pass him.
Adrian's been told to go for it. You saw the traffic separating the battle on the left, the overall win a little bit. Flashing down through turn 9 and now turn 10. You see the brake lights on the GT2 Corvette beside him. That was the 4 car, I believe, that they went by. And on the right, the battle continues for the lead in GT2. Jörg Bergmeister has it in the silver and red 45 Flying Lizard Porsche. Again, Magnussen wants it.
Magnussen, of course, was the pole sitter. As you see him slam that Corvette down across the curbing. Oh,
look at the traffic here. That is an ALMS challenge car in the way of this battle a little bit. They clear it, but it has allowed Magnussen to park all over the bumper. Will they be a move under braking here in 211?
Not this time, Brian. He looks to the inside to get a better run.
And this is where Patrick Long seems to have had the edge a little bit, even with the extra 25 kilos that they had added once the engine was determined to have the steel sleeves that they didn't like. And there it is. There it is. Magnussen gets it done.
But can he hold it to the inside? Yes, no.
Yes, no.
Bergmeister. Bergmeister with the double pass. Perfect.
Get in there. Get in there.
Oh, that was almost getting in there.
I think it was getting way in there. Bergmeister with the big slide. This is a battle royale. Magnussen, the little terrier. The tall German, Jörg Bergmeister, in the 45 right in front of him. And now Bergmeister having to drive a bit defensively, Dorsey.
That was 2 drivers at the top of their game, giving 100%. And as soon as Magnussen got in there, he knew he was not going to be able to hold down the apex. It was a good double pass. Jörg Bergmeister to the inside. They rubbed a little bit. That rubbing's not over yet, folks.
Gilles de Ferran with about a 1-second lead over Fernandez, so we're not missing anything up there right now. This battle just too good to leave. Magnussen all over the rear bumper, and Bergmeister really beginning to drive defensively down through the corkscrew. Turns 9 and 10. Are the tires gone on that Flying Lizard Porsche? The mechanical grip of the Corvette, its strong suit.
Well, it looked like the Corvette had a bunch of understeer on it. I don't know if that's because he rushed the corner so hard, had that speed on there a little bit more than he needed to. Let's look at it through here. Oh, right there, pretty neutral, both of them.
Get traffic up there. Get them when you can.
Danny Binks, get them when you can. They've got that traffic in front.
I like Danny as a corner man. He's pumping his driver up. He's getting them all up on his adrenaline right now, which is, you know, they got less than 5 minutes. Look at this
move around the outside.
And it's going to work. I think it's going to work.
He can't hold it. Bergmeister takes the position back over, but Magnussen, throwing caution to the wind, will do anything to take this victory, and that was spectacular.
That's what I'm talking about. Danny Binks pumping you up, man, and get your adrenaline up going. You're Superman. I can do this.
Wow. Bergmeister. About 4 minutes left to go in this event, and can he hold on right now? Jan Magnussen in that Corvette. Very, very strong. That move, he almost pulled it off, Dorsey.
Yeah, I mean, in the running. Oh, wow, right on the outside edge there. That was a close.
Off the edge of the track, and now prototype traffic going to split this battle a bit. Take a look at this. The 40 car in front, a bit slower. Magnussen made that decision a long way back.
Before he even got close to that corner, he goes, I saw which way he's going. I got one shot here. Now, this might have worked, but Magnussen left a lot of room, so he didn't get bumped right there. Watch right here. They give each other just enough room.
And the problem is, those challenge cars, you saw the challenge Porsche in front, they accelerate very well off the corner, so they didn't have the ability to use him as a pick. Now, the 9 flashing through this battle as well. Scott Sharp works his way through.
And he doesn't want any part of being in the middle of that.
No, thank you, no. And Magnussen back looking to the outside again. You see the brake rotors glowing. Steel brakes on the GT2 cars. Carbon brakes on the prototypes. Those glowing brake rotors now easily seen here as the daylight fades away.
Well, he's got the high beams on to try to blind as much as he can Jörg Bergmeister in front of him. Jörg's not looking in the rearview mirror anyway. He doesn't care about that.
I think he's probably turned the mirrors down.
I think they've got 2 laps is all they got.
Come ahead.
Remember when I spoke with Jörg Bergmeister earlier in the race after his first stint, he said the car feels really good, but when I get behind another car, I suffer a lot of understeer. So that looks like what's happening now. Every time that they get into traffic, he loses that edge a little bit and gives Jan a big advantage.
It's about to happen right now, Jamie, as you said it. They're going to catch the Patron car. Both of them get by.
Sort of. Bill Sweetler.
A little bump there.
Sweetler's going, guys, I'm trying to give you as much room as I possibly can. And man, this battle is intense. And the thing that's amazing to me, at least for right now, All the paint's still on the cars.
That's what I'm saying. They're playing well with each other. They're doing a really good job of giving each other just enough room not to take one another out. And that takes a lot because they're 10-10. There's Danny Binks looking at us.
2 more laps.
All right, I was right. 2 more to go, guys, and they're not going to give up yet. Watch for the outside pass. He's going to go for it here, I think.
Oh, look at that!
To
In
the
the
inside.
pit lane! What will the officials have to say about that? Magnussen uses pit out as the way to get by.
Now get your mark. Get your mark.
Danny Binks says nothing wrong with that.
No, he's saying hit it smart. What he's talking about right there is just, you got that made, now get on your track. Get your turn-ins part, get your braking part. Take a look at this again. I knew he was going to go for it that lap, but I thought he'd go the other way. Here he is,
now,
up into pit in. Now that's pit out.
Now the question is, it's paved, but is it
illegal?
What are the officials going to say about it?
I like it no matter what.
Danny Binks loved it. Johnny O'Connell loved it. You see Danny Binks in the helmet there on your right. Look at Johnny.
These guys, they don't quit, man. They got... That is a team.
Binks on the radio. Hit your marks. Hit your marks.
And now look, now Magnussen's in front, and I think he's going to pull away. I think he had the better car.
Oh, the officials now. The transmission has come in. Let the 45
look
go.
At this, though.
You shortcutted the course.
But they got 54 seconds left in the race.
50 seconds left, less than a minute.
Let the 45 go.
He's got to do it now. He's got to do it. If he's got any chance of getting back by, he's got to make it happen right now.
He's got to let him go and then try to get him right back. You're right on board right now with Fernandez. That is the 66 of DeFerrin in front. 0.4 of a second at the line the last time. Fernandez is running out of time. Can he get it done? The 45, the 3 has let him by, and now one more lap.
Both these drivers don't really clearly understand what happened right there. They're being told, let him by, go get him, go guy.
You don't think they clearly understand?
Watch
Magnussen
this.
knows exactly what he did, and he also knows he's got less than 2 miles to do it again. Bergmeister has a reprieve, but it's just about 2 miles worth of it. The leaders have taken the white flag. This is it, the last lap. On board with DeFerrin, the lights behind him, Adrian Fernandez. That's not sure where that is on the racetrack now, as dark as it is, but they are battling.
Can he make it? That whole thing right now rests on, can DeFerrin go without running out of fuel? Can he make this last time round?
Underneath the bridge, was that out from underneath the corkscrew?
He's
Fernandez
right
all over the back of him. This is into the corkscrew. Fernandez running out of time. Can he do it in turn 11? Does DeFerrin have the fuel? It's downhill from here. Can he save a little bit, Dorsey?
Remember the brake zone at the hairpin that we made.
That's
the move
where it
there.
happened.
He's going to try it here again, I guarantee you.
It's the only place it can happen, but DeFerrin pulls about a car length through the apex. You're almost there. Is the fuel, does he have the fuel to get it done? Right in front of him is the battle for the 45 and the 3. They're going to have another lap. The checkered flag falls. DeFerrin in his final race takes the victory, but the battle in GT2 rages on.
And here comes Magnussen with a Corvette running around the outside. Will he stick there? They're going to hit.
Oh, they bumped. And now the 3, Magnussen loses that battle, drops wheels to the outside.
It's not over with yet, Brian. He's got a couple more places he might be able to do something.
Remember when Jörg Bergmeister was bumped off in the last lap at Sebring a couple of years ago, not having anything to do with it. He learned his lesson there. Was not going to happen. But Magnussen, he's not done.
Boy, he's got very limited opportunity. The best place is going to be into that hairpin for the final time. Coming on the pit straightaway. That's his good shot.
Through turn 5, turn 6, up the hill. 7, the little right-hand kink, then the braking for the corkscrew.
He's got to stay right there, and I guarantee you he'll put a fender on him this time. Last lap.
Out of the corkscrew. Through turn 9, the left-hander. A right-hander, turn 10, the very fast turn 10. Then the heavy braking for 11. If Magnussen is going to get the job done, it has to be right now. Too far back.
Unless a dive bomb. Not going to happen.
He's going to try the exit. Oh, he bumps him, hits him at the exit, loosens him up. Bergmeister drives him to the wall, down the front straightaway, rubbing into the wall, and he crashes him big.
Oh, they're not going to like that one.
No one is going to like that one. The checkered flag falls. It's great to see the competition, but enough is enough. And now tempers are going to flare on pit road. Bergmeister survives that battle. Magnussen took the big hit.
Boy, oh boy, that was a big hit.
Gilles de Ferran has taken the checkered flag in his final event. Remember the last time he retired? It was the IndyCar race at Texas Speedway when he won the final event of the season and retired. He's won the final event of the 2009 American Le Mans Series season and takes the victory and retires. But let's take a look at this.
We knew this would happen. Here's Mag. He roughs him up a little bit, loosens up the portion. Now they're side by side. And Jörg brings him to the wall. That's not good.
Jörg said, no, you're not going to hit me and loosen me up and take the victory like that. And they rub, and that's the hit right there. That was big.
That is a very straight-on bad type of a hit. Look at this. Right at you. They're up against the wall there.
They're rubbing over there, and you can't play that game. Whew. You saw Jan with the bump there at the apex to loosen Jörg up, and he said, I'm not having anything to do with it. We told you there would be fireworks up until the checkered flag. You saw it, literally, the final round of the American Le Mans Series in 2009. It's been a great one. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by AutoZone. Because do it yourself doesn't mean you have to do it alone. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Darkness has fallen over Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, and the celebrations are certainly beginning, but let's talk about the P1 results. Pagenaud and de Ferran with the win, but look at some of the other names up there.
Look down in third place. Otacon Lola, Tony Burgess, Chris McMurray, Brian Willman. Best finish of the year. Great job, boys.
And a good run by the 48 as well, but we know it was an emotional victory. Let's head straight down to Justin Bell.
Woohoo! That's Gilles. That is a woohoo moment. You won the race. What a battle with Fernandez. What a way to end a brilliant career.
Thank you, Justin. That was a great race. Thank you. It was we were very tight on fuel, and frankly the tires were gone as well. So it was very difficult to hang in there. But you know, we were using traffic as well as we could to try to save more fuel, and you know, it was. Believe me, there was no time to think about anything apart from staying up front. So
well, that's why you raced for so long, so you could use all that experience right at the end. What a way! Nothing left on the table, and you must be very proud of your whole team.
Absolutely, just I mean, it's a great moment for us, for me as a man, as a driver, and for all the guys. I mean, this team has come such a long way for in such a short period of time. So it's great.
The whole of the American Le Mans fans are very happy for you, and of course we want you back next year as a team owner and to see you for greater success. Fantastic.
Gilles de Ferran has come a long way in his driving career, but let's talk about the championship. When you look at the points, David Brabham, Scott Sharp, they get it, but it wasn't because of lack of trying for Gilles de Ferran and Simon Pagenaud. Let's head back to Justin, and I'm sure there's plenty of celebration going on at the Patron Highcroft team. Justin?
Well, the three amigos have done it. DB, you're there. What a fantastic result for you, winning the championship. Scott, Duncan, you're drinking some of that Mexican champagne here. Look at that. How do you feel now? I mean, what a tense last part of the race.
Well, you know what? I can't say enough about the Patron Highcroft racing team. I mean, to win the championship like we did, unbelievable. Scotty, thanks, mate. Awesome job this year. And every member of this team, even back at the shop, did their bit, and I'm so proud of the whole team.
Gilles was talking about it earlier. I mean, really, you're only as good as your competition. You said that, Duncan. I mean, amazing way to end the series. This truly is the best sports car racing out there.
It is. I mean, you know, to race against Gilles and the de Ferran team, I mean, they are absolute quality. So to beat them in the championship actually really means a lot. I think it shows how good this team is.
Well, it's time to celebrate, gentlemen. Back to the booth.
Something tells me there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight. What about P2 results? Diaz and Fernandez, they win the class, but they very nearly won overall. And Jamie has our winners.
Adrian Fernandez, you already had the championship clinched when you came into this race, but a fantastic battle for the overall lead against Gilles de Ferran. Do you think you had enough to get it if the race was a little bit longer?
Yeah, I didn't have enough in the straights. You know, it's we were very fast on the corners, and I tried everything I could. And Gilles is a very good driver. We battled for many years in the old days, and today we just didn't have enough. And but it was a fantastic battle. I mean, we almost made it. And I have to thank team Luis for a fantastic drive. My whole team has been a fantastic ride here, and thank you, Lowe's, for giving me this opportunity. These fantastic years. Thank you.
Well, while that was a great battle, what about GT2? Talk about coming down to the bitter end. Here are the unofficial results right now. Bergmeister and Long take not only the victory but the championship as well. We understand that the results will stand unless there was some technical infraction. I don't know what that would be, but look at Magnussen and O'Connell. They hold on for second, Dorsey, but man, that one was ugly at the end.
This will be a race talked about for a long time and talked over as a result of what we're about to see. Jan Magnussen to the pit out. That's an illegal move. Makes the pass, no problem.
But the officials say you got to give it back. Bergmeister tries to take it back, but Jan gives it back to him. Then down in turn one, the next lap goes around the high side, a little bumping and banging.
Yep, working the last lap. These two guys giving it all they have. Now, last corner. There's a shot. Tries to take out York. York says, no, you're not going to win this way. And look, he runs Magnussen all the way to the wall and turns him. Big crash.
Jörg said, I've seen this not going to happen, and you talk about huge. You saw the rear tires off the ground on the Corvette of Jan Magnussen. A shame to see it in that way, but Jörg Bergmeister takes the victory and the championship. For more, we'll head back down to Justin.
Well, Jörg, you certainly stole the limelight there. I mean, let's not just talk about the last straight, but those last 5 laps were extraordinary. But what actually happened there at the end? Did he start a little earlier?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was clear ahead going into the last corner, and he just drilled me. And I didn't want it to end like that, but he started it, and I wasn't giving that one away. I mean, I'm still shaking. It was so hard the last couple of laps, but I hope he's okay. That's all I can say right now.
Well, we remember seeing that you're certainly a man that sticks it in there right to the end. Remember at Sebring. I mean, this is racing, it's professional racing. You're both professional drivers. What do you think will happen? The result is standing right now. I'm sure you've got to walk up to see the stewards.
I don't know about that. We have to see. I mean, I think Jan has to go there as well, and we're going to talk about it, and we'll figure it out.
Hey, you're all grown-up people, and it was an amazing race to the end. Well done, Jörg.
Well, he said he hoped Jan Magnussen was okay. We understand he's been released from medical. He just isn't very conversational right now. You look at the way the championship ends up. Jörg Bergmeister takes his 4th series championship, all in GT2. Patrick Long with his 2nd. Jamie Mello and Pierre Caffer, they had a shot at it.
They tried all the way down to the end. The car unfortunately got wrecked, and that was the end of it.
What about ALMS Challenge class? Martin and Melanie Snow dropped out early, but good luck on their part. Bob Fayetto, Wesley Hoagland couldn't get it done. What about Michelin Green X Challenge? The manufacturers, Acura wins it over AER and Mazda in the prototype category. Good news for Acura. And certainly in the GT2 category, Porsche comes home with the victory over there, over Corvette and Ford. It has been a spectacular 2009, and certainly we told you the excitement would come down to the bitter end. It did all season long. It's been great. Congratulations to all the championships, to the series for giving us great racing as well. I also like to say thanks to everybody on the speed crew, all the cameramen, everybody who shows up at the race and brings the pictures to you. Thanks to Dorsey, Justin, and Jamie for all their help. And we got a little help along the way from Lee Diffie, Calvin Fish, Chris Neffel, and Kelly Stavist as well. From everybody at Speed, hope to see you next year. Remember, the off-season is coming up, but we have